Hi, everybody out there. Good afternoon or evening for some of us around the world, including one of our singers today. Thank you
Yes.
for being with us. My name is Ryan Lathan. I'm the Manager of Marketing and Communications at Fort Worth Opera. Woo!
Woo!
Today is the first class of internationally renowned superstar soprano Jennifer Rowley's 6-week virtual audition intensive. Yes! Today's inaugural class is all about preparing us for this brave new world of online auditions and virtual panels. And our amazing guests will be giving you the best videography and personal branding tips to make your auditions stick out of the crowd this fall. With that said, we are honored to have with us very special guests, David and Francisco Salazar from OperaWire. David is the editor-in-chief and Francisco is the publisher of this globally popular site, and both are massive champions of this incredible, ever-evolving art form we all love.
Yes.
They also run media production company La Cuarta Productions. Fort Worth Opera is also super excited to have with us once again the brilliant Jenna Wolf, Digital Media and Publicity Manager for Lenny Studio. She is a consultant for classical music streaming service, IDAGIO, and development and communications consultant for the worldwide organization and cultural movement Opera for Peace, of which I will put the link up in the chat box momentarily. Jenna, David, and Francisco, thank you so much for being with us today. And thank you, Jennifer, for all you're doing for these amazing young artists during this crazy time.
Yes.
Congrats to our 4 sopranos today. I'm so excited. We're looking forward to hearing you. And DJ Rowley, I pass the mic over to you.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Ryan. Thank you guys so much for joining us again today. We are thrilled to be beginning the second session, which is our virtual audition intensive. You guys really were so amazing during the first session. We heard incredible talent, and we appreciate you all so much. And we just knew we had to give you more information. We learned in the first session that the fall audition season is going to be done virtually. We know it's going to happen, so we figured we needed to get you prepared for it. And today we have 3 experts in their field to help us create virtual audition packages for these fall auditions, which will be done via video and also on Zoom. So we have Miss Jenna Wolf, who is from my PR team, Lenny Studio, who's coming back after doing an amazing social media seminar for us in the first session to talk to us about marketing and branding for your audition materials. And David and Francisco from OperaWire and La Cuarta Productions, who I just have to say, I am a huge fan of OperaWire. It's one of my absolute favorite places to go for reviews and for news. And I was so happy that they agreed to be a part of this class. They have a wonderful production company. They've been doing a lot of things this summer for other young artists and our young artist programs. And so they've learned a lot and know a lot about videography and about making those videos at home. And so we wanted to make sure that we had experts in the field for you guys for this class. Just a quick note, this morning, Houston Grand Opera announced that their whole Young Artist Program auditions would be done online via video in collaboration with 12 other companies, 12 other major young artist programs. The first round of those auditions will be done via video. The second round, the panel of 12 companies will choose collectively 2 arias for you to present for your second round, and you will need to send videos of those 2 arias. So 12 major young artist companies in our country are going to be doing their fall auditions completely via video. So This class is for you. We are so happy to have you. Thank you to everyone who donated in the first session to keep this going. We would really love your donation in the second session for Fort Worth Opera for Peace, for anything that you can. We would love it. Fort Worth Opera thanks you so much for your incredible donations during the first session. And if you can spare a couple of bucks, we would appreciate it for the second session as well. Thank you to everyone. And I'm going to get started with Jenna, and we're going to start talking about your virtual audition packages. I'm going to go in and start my screen sharing. Everyone pray to the gods of screen sharing. Here we go. And yes, I'm in PowerPoint. Here we go. And we are ready. So this class is all about presenting your best audition online, videography and personal branding tips to help you stand out this season. Our guests, as we said, are Jenna Wolf of Lenny Studio. Her Instagram handle is here for you, the Lenny Studio website, as well as her email. Should you have any questions, or should you like her advice, or would you like to have a consult with her or anything like that after this is over, her email is here, Jenna at Lenny Studio. And our videography at home session, David Salazar and Francisco Salazar. Their Instagram handles are there for you, OperaWire, La Cuarta Productions. And if you guys would like to have them help you with the mastering of your videos, with the editing, with the audio, anything like that, you can email them at lacuartaproductions@gmail.com, and you can visit them on their Facebook page, La Cuarta Productions. All of that will come back again at the end, but I wanted to give it out there to you guys now, just in case you hear something in this presentation that you really connect to and you want to have some help making your packages and your videos this fall. These are the people that can help you. So Jenna, we're gonna get started with you. Let's make sure that Jenna is unmuted. Jenna.
Unmuted.
Unmuted, Jenna.
Here I am.
There she is.
Hi.
Yes, hi Jenna. Thank you so much for joining us, hon. We're gonna get into your pre-audition materials checklist.
It's a lot.
It's great. Thank you.
Everyone, it's good we're talking now here in August and that it's not September or October. And welcome everyone from all of the places you are in the world. We know that it's kind of a crazy and a bit scary and even intimidating time in thinking about turning the business upside down, changing the way that we do everything. But I think if all of us in every level of the business, including all of you as young artists, can remain flexible and adaptable, we will get through this time. And please lean on all of us who are doing what we can to offer you our thoughts and advice. We want to help you as much as possible so you have the best season no matter what, whether it's online, in person. But I think we know the bulk of this is going to be online. So away you go.
Absolutely. All right.
Okay, so I think the real motto this season and for every season, but especially this year, is be prepared. Make sure, if you haven't done this already, get onto all of the channels that are listing auditions, whether you're on Yap Tracker, if you're looking on the classical singer listings, on company websites for the programs you're interested in. Check them early and check them often, because it's also possible that some of the requirements may change from when the auditions are initially posted to the deadlines. It's kind of like when you're traveling and you're heading on a flight. At this point, you'd be checking the requirements basically every week, every day before you leave to see if anything's changed. Treat this the same. Make sure you're informed. Early is on time is late. This is the best philosophy for everything. Don't wait until 11:45 p.m. The night before your materials are due to submit them, because if you run into any technical troubles, if you're having weather like we're having today in New York, you might, your internet could be down for a day. So I would recommend giving yourself at least a handful of days as a buffer, just in case you run into technical issues. Plan ahead as much as possible so you're not panicking. You want to create a timeline or a checklist for each audition that you're doing. And I know this is a lot of work, but trust me, it's going to be worth it. I recommend if you're on a Mac, or PC, whatever you're using. You can use Google Sheets, you can use Excel, anything. You can even create a different tab for each audition, which really helps. List the company name, list the deadlines for each round of materials, have a list of all of the requirements, all of the materials they want you to submit. Do they want, you know, a resume and a photograph separately? Have they not asked for a portrait photograph? Have they asked for 3 arias to be in one video file? Do they want 3 arias separately on 3 unlisted YouTube links? So make sure you have a list of those materials. Also, if they provide them, list the contacts and or contact information. So if you need to email someone, if there's been a problem with an upload, if you need to get in touch, you're not having to scramble to try to find that, get that all in one place. Same goes with the dates of submission. If you're going to have a list of the materials, have a corresponding list of the dates of when you're supposed to send each item. This kind of advanced preparation will save you, and it's going to allow you the flexibility. Let's say there's an audition that pops up that you really want to do. If you've already really been preparing on everything else, you'll be in good shape here.
Jenna, I totally agree with this. And I just want to say that when I was auditioning, I had a big Excel spreadsheet with everything I was auditioning for, with all of this information. It's so helpful to organize and track everything if it's all in one place for you. And what Jenna puts up here, I mean, really, this is such a great idea, Jenna. I love this, designating a specific folder for every audition. You can really keep track of everything. So I just wanted to interject and say that I did this. This was something when I was auditioning, I had a huge spreadsheet. So what Jenna's saying here is, it's really, love it. Thank you, Jenna.
Structure is always going to be helpful. And, you know, full disclosure, I'm not a singer. I'm a lapsed instrumentalist, but I'm surrounded by singers in my life. I'm married to one. We have a roommate, one. I work for many wonderful artists, including Jen. And so I'm really trying to come at this from the angle of gathering all of that knowledge and the forethought of how can we help you to be best prepared. And with having a specific folder for each audition, you know, make sure that all of your materials are backed up as well onto some kind of cloud and Google Drive, anywhere they can be. If they can exist in 2 places, if you have the space to do that, if you can, even if you have an external hard drive plus a drive. That way, if for some reason, again, I like to have a plan A and plan B with everything in life if possible, and I think it's good for this too. Make sure you don't lose your materials along the way. Keep them very organized. So if they write you and they say, oh, we had a problem with this video file, could you upload it another way? Again, you can quickly access it.
Amazing. Okay. Continued.
Woo-hoo-hoo. Repertoire review. So many of you, I assume, at least from what I've seen and what I've heard from a lot of young and emerging artists, is that you've been spending time this summer reviewing your repertoire, seeing where you're at in things. Are you moving into something new? Are you staying where you're at? Make sure you have your repertoire list really set before this fall season of auditions, and don't be in a position where in late September, early October, you're really questioning what repertoire you're going to be submitting for things. Now is the time to really set this. You know, what are your 5 main arias? What are a couple of additional ones that you think, you know, might showcase you in a great light for a specific competition or a program audition? If you know you have a Mozart requirement on something, again, this is part of the looking ahead piece, but don't be questioning who you are as far as your repertoire goes if you're already into audition season, because that's going to make it very challenging for your preparation. This is the time to really be hopefully past the learning phase and really in the polish. But if you're still in the learning phase, have a goal of having things in really beautiful shape at least a couple of weeks before your auditions. And Jen knows a lot.
Absolutely. I would also say that those 5 arias, those are your arias for the season. Do not change anything. When you choose your starter, you choose your starter, and that's your starter. Maybe, you know, in a couple of months, once you've tried it out, you'd like to try starting with something else, that's fine. But really, get everything going perfectly polished, beautifully put together, coached to within an inch of its life. I mean, really think about a rehearsal process for an opera and how long you work on that opera, you know, and how many times you go back to a role over and over and over again. It becomes something new every time you do it. But the more you do it, the more it gets into your muscle memory. The more it's into your muscle memory, the more you can can fight those nerves. Because when you can rely on what you're singing, even if you're nervous, even if you're scared out of your mind, doesn't matter. It'll come out and it'll be fantastic because muscle memory will take over for you. That's why we have rehearsal. That's why we do roles over and over again. Do that with your audition arias as well. It will help you so much in the long run.
Absolutely. And remember that you're singing for a different audience each time. This is a different panel of people. These are different groups of people every time. And so you have to think of this like a new performance each time. I mean, sometimes you may have a contract to do così 10 performances. You're singing the same music, you know, in 10 shows in maybe 5 weeks time. So there's going to be something different and fresh every night. And you can find that even as you're recording or doing live auditions, any of that. It's going to keep it fresh. Think about the fact that, oh, I'm singing for new people this time.
Absolutely.
It'll help when you're looking at a camera. You know, the camera's not going to change, but imagine who's behind that camera watching you, and that should help.
Absolutely.
It's a great time to take a look at your portrait photographs. Not only are they current, but do they reflect who you are as an artist? Do they reflect your personality? Do they reflect your goals in your repertoire and the repertoire that you'd like to be hired to do? This is not to say that your photo should look exactly like someone else's or should be some really, you know, stock photograph or something like that. It should be authentic to you. It should look polished. It should look professional. And that doesn't mean taking away from individuality. If you have really amazing blue hair in an awesome way that you like to style it, and you have a fabulous gown that matches that, please, you know,
yes,
we want to see
absolutely.
that photo. You will stand out in the crowd, that's no question. However, on the professional side, it's really about quality. Make sure these are high resolution images that you include. And, you know, we know a lot of photographers that are doing deals right now during this time because they, of course, lost a lot of business. Reach out to people, see if they have packages for young or emerging artists. And that's something you can do safely distanced as of now. You can even, because of the time of year, get some great outdoor photographs still or things that are not in enclosed spaces. So please make sure your photos are up to date. Another part of this big preparation, do your research. You know, when you get to a certain level or sort of a certain round of auditions, you know, we're looking into you. We're looking at your additional materials. We're looking at your website. We're looking further into your resume, maybe reaching out to one of your teachers who we know really well. You need to do your research on the other side. Research that company. What are that company's priorities? What's their trend of repertoire been for the past several years? What is their program all about? What are the priorities of how program participants spend their time? Are you going to be spending a lot of time doing outreach and education programs? Are you going to be on the main stage? If it's a competition, do they have specific requirements for repertoire throughout the progression of the competition? It's those kind of things. It doesn't take much time. It'll take you maybe 10, 15 minutes for each, but those are also notes that you can add in to your spreadsheet and even to your folder for each of these that you can reference back to and say, oh yeah, that's what that company's about. And again, this will help you to sort of picture that audience you're singing for a little bit, picture that panel you're singing for. Francisco and David will discuss this a little bit later, but you need to make sure you have, at the bare minimum, the equipment you need to present a really spectacular from-home audition. This means some sort of lighting equipment, and it's not that you have to spend a ton of money on this stuff, but you're going to need to amp up your lighting a little bit. If you only have an iPhone and that's your only recording device, you're going to need some kind of external mic. Everybody should have an external mic anyway. And again, the Salazar brothers will talk about this stuff in a little bit, but think about this now, because you will find that a lot of these items are still back ordered from when people were ordering these things early in the summer. You need to do your research. I will say B&H Photo, which is in New York, but they have a great website, is an awesome site to go to for all this stuff, but check and see how long things are back ordered, because you may not get them in time to record certain auditions. So you need to.
Oh, that's great advice, Jenna. Thank you. That's great advice. Great reminder on that for sure.
Yeah, it's like a nightmare, you know, to see that something's back ordered till December. So
oh, I hate that. I hate that.
If you're recording at home, make sure your space is ready to record. And again, the guys will talk about this in a little bit, but if you know you need something else, if you know you are going to do some audio visual tech work, if you're going to have somebody managing that, if you're going to have a space, again, early is on time. Plan as far in advance as you can to reserve a space. and also to secure the people that will be helping you do that if that's your plan. You have to, it's also respectful to them because they are going to probably be very busy with this type of work.
Mm-hmm.
This is a note of kind advice for your coaches, accompanists, repetiteurs. Please provide the music to them in advance. Please arrange for their time in advance. Do not write them the day before panicking because you have, you know, a video due the next day and ask for 2 hours of their time. And, you know, be respectful of everyone's time. You want people to be respectful of yours. Do the same unto them. Make sure that you arrange everything really well ahead of time and build this into your schedule. It's tough. I know personally, I'm not sure if this is the case for anyone else, but I'm a slightly less structured person in general. I make a choice to have to be structured. And I recommend that you do the same. Just be respectful of everyone's time. And, you know, please, in your video descriptions, if there's anything that you post online or whatever, make sure to credit your pianist too, because they're putting work into it as well.
They're putting so much work in. All right, let's talk about the personal website, Jenna.
Yes. We spoke about this a bit on the first series that Jen did here with Fort Worth, which was so great. A reminder to all of you, if you don't have a website, create one ASAP. Of course, it's better if it's visually engaging and has, you know, beautiful current photographs and a lot of background info and media. That's ideal. However, at the very least, you can get a free or low-cost template from, you know, various companies, various sites, just to get something online. So you can reserve your name, and that can be done very, very cheaply. Like, there are free templates. You'll have to pay a little bit for your domain name for your URL, but you can reserve that. It's preferred, even having just the most basic site is preferred to not having one. So have one, even if it's one high-resolution image, you know, newest photos, your biography, your resume in a PDF downloadable format if that's possible, or at least just having it display, your repertoire list for all of you where you're at in your careers. This is key. We need to know who you are and what you sing. If you're not a known entity, help us know who you are. If you have any news or reviews to share on there as well, you know, just get some of that basic information. But I would say the information that's sort of closest to the top is really key. And news and reviews, even those, if you don't have that, that's okay. Get the basics up, but this is vital for all of you to have.
And I just want to add in that I think, Jenna, that even the one-page website is super helpful, like Jenna's saying here. And Lenny's studio has an amazing designer, Kate Pizzaroni, who designed my website and countless other people's websites in the business. But she does the one-page website, and it's actually quite economical. And you can put so much there, and it looks amazing. You know, when you're scrolling through, and there are photos and a bio and a resume and things, and it's all in one place. So if you really can't afford, you know, a big, fancy, flashy site right now, that's totally fine. But having something that's even just your one page where somebody can go, they can see all your information in one place, a one-page scroll, that's so helpful. Even if you have a couple of videos there, one or two, anything like that, just having that really is fantastic. And like Jenna says, there's tons of low-cost templates, free templates, and wonderful designers like Kate Pizzaroni who will create an economically priced website for you that's just the one page and make it look absolutely stunning. So I just wanted to add that because I really do agree with Jenna so much that even if it's just one page, even if it's just one photo and a resume and, you know, maybe a video or two, you need that. You need a place where people can Google your name and it sends them to. It's really important.
It should be a one-stop shop, really, so people aren't having to hop all over. And if you can link to your social channels, if you can link to a YouTube page, even on that site, if it has some of that basic functionality, again, think of all the things that people should see publicly from you and just get them on a site. It'll very much help you. Make sure this is polished and ready before your very first audition deadline. So for some of you, if you have deadlines already in 2 weeks and you don't have a site at all, this means you need to find a chunk of time that you can just dedicate to doing this, get that URL set up, get the site set up, even if it's extremely basic. That's okay. Basic is better than nothing.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
This one is a special pet peeve of mine. In spite of me not being naturally the most structured person in the world and having to choose to do that, I am a stickler when it comes to spelling. And it doesn't mean that I'm always perfect. I think all of us, you know, I mean, even those of us who do this for a job, we do our best 99.9% of the time, but there's the 0.1% that slips through. However, please, please double check your site. Have you, you know, double check your materials. Have you spelled the names of the conductors you've worked with correctly? Have you spelled the names of the operas or the roles you've done correctly, or the aria titles? It's easy sometimes for autocorrect to jump in and mess everything up. So please double check that. And then if you can, have a friend, family member, a colleague, if your teachers came, just somebody take a quick peek through the site and really, you know, check this information for you and make sure that you are listing things appropriately. Use the special characters in a certain language, you know, make sure it's specific and that it's right. And you'll feel better knowing that, but do a nice double check. And if you can, have somebody else's editing eye on those materials as well.
Absolutely. Let's run over and talk about the social media channels, because those are also super important, almost as important as that website, because so many people are going to check you out. They're going to go to Instagram. They're going to see what you're doing. They're going to look for your videos. So that's really important to talk about.
Yes, if you don't already have public channels where people can find you, even if it's just some basics like portrait photographs and some content, some video clips, create them. You should have at a minimum Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube. Even if on YouTube you only have 2 videos of arias, even if on Facebook you only have 2 posts, it's better than nothing. And as of now, at least creating it and getting it going is positive. But I would say on the other side, don't let this be something that overwhelms your life. You know, you need to focus on the music first, everything else after that. Make sure you can sing well. You know, everything else can kind of fall into place. And social channels aren't about creating a voice for you. They won't get you jobs, but they'll amplify the voice you already have. So secure those channels. It's a nice plus. And include your name in your handles for clarity of searches if you can. And I know a lot of us have fun, you know, alter egos and all these things on there, but if at least your last name's in there or some part of your name or something else, it might be easier for people to search and find you. Let's say if you don't have a website set up yet and they can't click through to find you easily, or at least you can list, you know, handles on your resume if you want to do that. Make sure to follow the accounts of the companies and competitions, anything else that you're auditioning for. Dial into what they're doing. It would be really weird for you probably to get all the way to a final round, you know, and not be following them and have them have, you know, posted something on all of their social channels about an update that you missed or whatever. So follow them, follow the program administrators and the artistic staff. It doesn't mean they'll all follow you back en masse and see what you're up to, but you might be surprised. A few of them could, and they may see some of your content. So I think that's something really good to do. Sometimes companies don't have a separate account for their programs. Others do. So do your research again, and you'll find those things on their website.
Absolutely.
Make sure to update your social channels with your most recent bio snippet. Basically in the about section, you know, you can have a short snippet of your bio, at least on Facebook. It could be long, but I think it doesn't need to be that lengthy. On your Insta bio, make sure that's up to date. Include your website link. Make sure your photos, you know, your profile photo, your cover photos, anything else are fresh and new and inviting. And also share video content in advance of your auditions. If there are video clips that you feel really great about that you've made for these auditions, let's say you've recorded your 5, and there are 2 that you really just feel showcase you at your best. Post, you know, either part or a whole aria on your social channels. That's great content to share as you're in preparation, or if you have clips from, you know, rehearsals, if you're working with a coach and you feel something went really well, you know, that's great stuff to share. Just make sure to always have that quality filter on there. If the sound quality isn't good, it's not worth sharing, even if you felt good about the singing. It really should be polished to the highest degree, because you never know who will be looking at this stuff.
I love that idea, Jenna. I think it's fantastic to share even just a minute at a time. If you've recorded your 5 arias already and you feel really great about them, they look amazing, they sound amazing, you feel great about them, edit out a minute and share it. That gives you like, gosh, weeks worth of posts. If you share like, 1 minute at a time or just highlights here and there. I mean, that's a lot of content. And having that stuff up on your Instagram account will gain interest from other companies as well, your colleagues, friends, family. People love to see those clips. So that's a fantastic idea, Jenna. I love it.
All right, the CV resume section. This is, I think, for a lot of artists, at least from what I've been told over time, one of their least favorite parts of doing the application and audition process. And I don't blame anyone. It's not fun, but it's vitally important.
Yes,
so
absolutely.
Please pay attention to the application requirements. Are they asking for a CV or a resume format? Sometimes you'll see a request specifically for a CV format. That's actually more common in Europe. It's really easy on Google searches to see a bit more of what that's about. But typically what we're seeing for young artist applications overall is more of the traditional resume, with even a little bit of the structure changes. But just make sure you know what format they're asking for. And I think this goes for everything they're saying. Give them exactly what they're asking for. Don't give them a bunch more. Don't give them less. Don't give them something wildly different. If they're asking you for a detailed resume, provide a detailed resume. If they're asking you for 2 high-resolution headshots, provide 2 high-resolution headshots. Don't deviate from that, because then you're already creating more work and headaches for the panel, which they don't
Absolutely.
need. So again, I think the US sort of resume style tends to be what young artist programs are looking for in general. In Europe, if they ask for a CV specifically, that format is a little bit different. And actually there's some really helpful articles on this. If you literally Google CV versus resume format, they'll come up and they'll show you exactly everything you need to do.
Absolutely.
Again, on this, proofread yours. Check it a second time, check it a third time. Are spellings correct? Is formatting correct? Is your phone number listed correct? And then have a colleague or a friend proofread as well. If you have somebody in your life who's really good at this and they like doing that, their eyes will be really valuable. Also, explore outside of the box templates and designs. This is not to say that you should have, neon orange lettering on a yellow background to the point that nobody can read your resume. That's not going to be ideal, especially knowing, the panels, because you're going to have people of various ages on these different panels who also have various eyesight levels, technological capabilities. Don't make it difficult for people. There's some really great free or low-cost downloads on tons of sites, on Canva, on Etsy. Etsy's kind of cool because sometimes you're supporting individual artists, which is great. And they're easy to work with, they're easy to lay out. Canva especially is nice because you can sort of tie the color palette and font use into even things that you might put on your social media. But this is the time to have it not be just black and white, single sheet, really corporate looking. Have it stand out. And it still means being legible. Don't have your font size of 6. Because you have so much information to share throughout the resume. Have an editing eye, have it be in a legible font size throughout. And if there's really old information you need to cut from that resume, if they're asking for a single page, and let's say you have a really extensive, operatic role history with tons and tons of covers, going all the way back into undergrad or even before that, maybe some of that needs to go if you need to create more space for other things to have it be more current. So have it be legible, have it be clear, but like your photos, like a website and your social channels, have it reflect you in some way, even if it's a slight design element or a touch of color.
Absolutely. And with that, we can look at some sample resume here. This is Mr. Cavaradossi, the tenor opera dog. I love it. I'm going to zoom in so we can see a little bit better this resume template, which I just am obsessed with. This is my dog. So cute.
This is Cavaradossi. He goes by Cav. As you can see, he's a very serious artist. Very serious. I wanted to sort of test on Canva to see how quickly I could even take an existing template, change the color option, you know, add some categories, all of that kind of stuff. You guys, you can really do this if you already have all your information together in an hour or two, tops. And it's no problem. Even on these resume templates, if you feel comfortable sharing your social handles, if you feel really good about your Instagram page, you have good video clips on there, you can add even icons on the bottom of a resume. But the real key is to make sure you're covering the most important categories and that you're having the most recent items first in those lists. So, you know, we've got your operatic roles. You can call these categories whatever you like. You can say opera, you can say operatic repertoire, you can say operatic experience. You know, you'll see various options, but have opera first because that's what you're auditioning for. So you can list your roles, the opera, the company, the year. If you have covers on there, I've done an asterisk here because Cavaradossi, I don't know if you know this, he covered the role at Opera Dog's Company last year. So it's listed as that. We also have concert and oratorio work. He's done the Verdi Requiem, very important piece. We have education and young artist programs. He's been an apprentice at Puccini Opera. He got his BM in vocal performance at the Pub School. He finished that in 2017. You know, all these things, your competitions and awards, and then what conductors, directors, teachers, and coaches have you worked with? If you are a lucky artist who's worked with like 35 coaches in your life, narrow that list down. No, nobody needs to see that because again, we need to see sort of balanced sections within the resume. So think about who the people are that are most prominent and you know, maybe most known in the business or affiliated with the programs that you're auditioning for, or are affiliated with the artistic staff of the programs you're auditioning for. And if you have, there's a note about other repertoire as well. You know, in the concert and oratorio section, if you also have musical theater experience, if you have that light opera experience, absolutely list that. Those are roles, those are performance experience opportunities that you should list here. List when you've been on stage and that it's been, you know, legitimate, whether it's undergrad, graduate, summer programs, any of that stuff, whether you were a cover, whether you were a study cover, please list that here because people want to know what you know and what you've done.
Absolutely. I love this, Jenna. This makes me so happy right here.
And with the photo, you'll see of Cavaradossi, you know, sometimes people will ask for your resume and then they'll say, provide 2 headshots to us. What I like actually about the resume templates that have a spot for a photograph is that given how crazy all of this is going to be this year and how some places, you know, people may not be printing out things in the old school way that they used to do and bringing folders to auditions, you know, and sitting at the tables. It's nice always to have at least a little photo of yourself on that resume at this point, so it's very easy for people to see. And if they're asking for, you know, if they say a maximum of 3-page resume, that's great. You can put all the stuff in there, but they'll typically let you know how much they want to see. I would say if they don't list a length on the resume, that's something you could always check on, but I think 1 page or 2 pages.
Yeah. Pretty often we're seeing in audition listings a 1-page resume. And the other thing that's super important, and we kind of going back a slide for this, but the requirements for that resume are also often listed in the listing. So quite often we will see a resume, 1-page resume with dates. If that is what's asked for, they really want to see the dates. It's important to them because they want to see if there's any gaps. They want to see, and if there's gaps, why there's gaps. If you haven't done something in the last 5 years, why you haven't done something in the last 5 years, those kinds of things. And we've talked on some of the other classes in the first session about how to handle those things. David Lomeli told us that, you know, if you've made a voice type change, a Fach change, that you should take a line of your resume and put changed Fach to dramatic mezzo. And then above that go your dramatic mezzo roles, below that go your soprano roles. So you really do want to make sure that if they're asking for years, if they're asking for dates, you do want to give them the dates. I always included the dates anyways, because I wanted to show a consistency of working. You know, I went to school, then I went to young artists, then I went to here, So I like the dates anyways, but I think it's important to read, again, what Jenna was saying, read the requirements for the audition materials. If it says 1-page resume with dates, make sure you give them a 1-page resume with dates. Yeah, very important.
Yes, absolutely. And when you're submitting those files too, make sure the file types are clearly named. Have your name, resume, and the year. Or for photographs, have your name and then image by, and have the photographer credit in there. Because what might happen is sometimes when people are downloading all of these materials for these auditions, something could get lost in the shuffle. And if you've only named an item as resume or photo and it doesn't have your name in it, it could get lost. I mean, a lot of times people are having portals where you're going to upload information, you know, directly and all of that. But again, this is that plan A, plan B idea. Make sure you include detail to that final degree.
Absolutely. I mean, just with this second session, Ryan and I received 100 to 150 new pieces of information, new resumes, yeah, exactly, Ryan. New resumes, new videos, new photos. And if I open up an email that isn't titled, you know, Fort Worth Opera Virtual Audition Intensive submission and your name, I can't easily search that. If your resume is titled resume.pdf, like Jenna said, if I save that, then I have to change that, right? Then I, as the administrator, have to take the time to change the title rather just going click, click, save. Yeah. So think about those things when you're sending your materials. Jenna's absolutely right. You need to have your name on it. You need to have, if you're submitting a photo credit needs to be in the title or something somewhere, because maybe the theater really likes your photo and maybe they want to hire that photographer for something. Then you've helped out your photographer too. I mean, there's so many different interactions and connections that happen here. So just make sure everything's really well labeled. Absolutely, Jenna. All right. So the follow-up process. Sorry.
I was going to say too, don't create more work for your audition panel.
Yes.
This is already going to be a lot of work.
It's going to be a lot of work.
Yes, if they have to hunt and find this information, it's a pain. So as Jen said, in the subject of your email, as we've said in the file names, also in your emails, include your full name, include your contact info in the body of the email. Make it easy for people to follow up with you if they need to, because if you've only titled it resume, if you sign off on your email with your first name, if your Gmail address doesn't have your full name, and they don't have your phone number or anything, and let's say their reply to you gets in the junk folder, if they can't find out who you are, it's going to be more difficult for them to get in touch. And at a certain point, they might say, "This is sort of so
that's what I was going to say."
Yeah,
at a certain point, they're going to be like, "Well, I can, you know, that." Okay, next, you know, it's
you
truth,
have to be specific. You have to be so specific. And it's honestly the same with your 5 too, with your arias. If you are completely all over the place, that panel's going to sit there and be like, well, we like this person, but we have no idea what to do with them because this. Help the world know who you are.
Right, absolutely.
And share it.
All right, so then let's follow up after these auditions too.
This is vitally important. And this is a little bit the old school thing here too. Thank the people who are taking their time to go through your materials, to listen to you, who have been in touch with you, who have helped you along the way. Thank your coach, thank your teachers, thank your diction coaches, thank your repetiteurs, thank anybody who helped you do this season. It's an important thing to do. That recognition is key. And it doesn't mean that it's going to get you a spot in a program if you send a nice handwritten note, you know, to the artistic director who, you know, you got through to the finals and they provided helpful feedback. It's just a sign of appreciation that you appreciate their time. Email is just fine. Snail mail is cool too. And I think supporting the USPS is a very nice thing we all can do right now.
Yes, girl.
So put some stamps on some envelopes and let's roll.
Yes.
Regardless of the outcome, with feedback, request the feedback if it's available, and add that feedback to your timeline or checklist document, to your spreadsheet for future reference. So if 2 years from now, you see, oh my gosh, actually, I know I got to the finals and I know that same person was on the panel for X program and they're on the panel for this competition. What did they have to say about you singing that aria before? Was that information helpful? Have you grown since then? And look, it's not to say that all feedback necessarily is going to jive with exactly who you are and where you're going and what's going to happen, but these are industry professionals that are providing hopefully some wisdom to you that you can take back to your teacher, you can take back to your coaches and say, this is the feedback I got, how do we feel about this, how could we incorporate some of this? But if they're not clearly providing that to you, ask for it, and it will be helpful to keep a record of that information.
Awesome, Jenna. Thank you so much. This was such fantastic information. Jenna, there's a question up in the chat that's asking if people would like to have you review their resumes for them and give them advice. Would you be able to provide that service?
Yeah, we do at Lenny Studio. Actually, we can do resume review. We've got some great members of our team that are super creative, and
yes, absolutely.
Also our singers themselves. So they're coming from
yes, absolutely.
So we do kind of, any sort of consultations, those sort of things, absolutely, whatever helps. But again, hopefully, like with these resources, what Fort Worth and Jen are providing to all of you, I'm happy to see all of you here and taking advantage of these things and donating if you're able to, because this is the kind of stuff that will help you before you even need to spend money on consulting with somebody. And then if you feel like you get to the point, I need that extra cutting edge, or I need additional help, I'm struggling with this, that's when you can absolutely call in a professional and we can help you.
Absolutely. And I'll put her email up again at the end of the presentation, but it's Jenna at Lenny's Studio. We are going to segue into now some videography. So if Ryan, you could unmute David and Francisco, we would love to chat with them about actually making the videos to go with these virtual audition packages. And then we're going to bring Jenna back in when we get to the singers and go over some of their materials and resumes and photos. But David and Francisco, thank you guys for being here and welcome. I'm going to turn it over to you.
Thank you guys for having us.
Thank you.
So my brother and I, obviously many of you know us from running this website called OperaWire.com, and we are also videographers. We've made a couple of films. We're currently have a feature film in festivals and that. But in terms of opera videos, that was not necessarily something that we'd done prior to this unique situation we all find ourselves in. I am married to a singer, so obviously she had to do a lot of auditions and start getting some of these virtual performances under her belt. And we kind of found ourselves in a situation where we said, okay, now what are we gonna do? What equipment do we have? And slowly throughout these few months, we've kind of built our little video arsenal. We've developed our toolkit, and we've found out little secrets here and there and things that have slowly come to, comprise what we consider a good video. So we're gonna talk a little bit about, over the next, little while, we're gonna talk a little bit about what kind of materials we use. We're gonna include links to the things that we recommend. First of all, I wanna prime this by noting that we were on a very small budget. So we had to find a way to put together materials that we would be able to use on a very small budget. So all the things that we're recommending are accessible and financially viable, and they work. So with that in mind, we will kick it off with
the camera.
The camera, so important, right?
Yeah, so everyone should have some type of camera, whether it's an iPhone or a DSLR camera, and even a point and shoot camera, which are the small cameras that everyone used to have. They actually have good video, and I shoot actually the Dallas Opera segments on a point and shoot camera, so it has a pretty good video quality. In terms of the iPhone, everyone can use the lens that it already has, but there's also lenses and adapter you could put onto the iPhone in case you don't like that it's too wide or you want something a little closer. So you can actually look on Amazon, and you have cameras that lenses that range from $25 to $40 that you could actually get on Amazon, so that you could improve the quality of your video, or have a bigger close-up to you. In terms of DSLR cameras, there are packages that they even sell on Amazon that range from $300 that include a tripod, that include lenses, that include memory cards, that include cases, and include the camera, and they're pretty good, and they have a pretty good camera that can help you make a really good and professional looking video. We recommend always to have a tripod. You can find tripods from $30 to $100, and
I just included the link in the chat with a tripod that is cheap and also includes a mount for your phones, which I know is very, very useful. And I mean, we didn't have one, we bought a separate one, but now there are tripods that are very economic that include that mount. So I just included that in the chat for all of you.
Yeah, I mean, we definitely recommend that you get a tripod, because going off of someone like recording it with your hand, it will look shaky. And I know from experience, from the first time I did it, it was pretty, it didn't look good. So it definitely, so definitely do that.
So second of all, obviously the big one here is the microphone. I'm sure that all of you have heard it a million times. Do not use recording sound from your cameras. It is not good. It's usually usually takes in the full environment instead of just focusing on the direct sound of your voice, and it just sounds messy. It's very distracting. Obviously, there's a lot of different things out there in terms of microphone. I'm gonna add a link to one microphone that we use that we tested quite a few. This is the one that I feel works really well when you're doing live recordings or live auditions. Obviously, if you're gonna do like your own recording at home, the Zoom recorder is also very good. Or there's other kinds of recorders that are really good, but this one specifically is for kind of live audition setting, like what we're going to be experiencing today. We've tested this one. This is the one that we like the best for this kind of situation.
Awesome.
So obviously, as Jenna said, you should get lights, because lights will improve the image quality of your video, and they will also make it look much professional. And we recommend box lights. You can find box lights on Amazon for a very affordable price. I know that Dave uses that with Eugenio when they do their videos. You can talk a little bit more about that, Dave.
I mean, there's obviously you can also get ring lights. I know a lot of people like the ring light. But we started off with only one ring light, and then eventually we decided that we wanted more control over the light. So we got a couple of box lights, and the beauty of the set that I just shared with you guys is that you get two. They're big and they're powerful, and it gives you a little bit more opportunity to have control over your setting, because if you're in an apartment like mine, which has very low lighting, and you just suddenly you put these two big lights, suddenly it changes the whole entire parameter, the whole image quality of your video. And if you have two and it's too much, you can just remove it. And it gives you flexibility. These are very affordable, and I highly recommend them. They're also very easy to set up, because that's another thing with lights that certain people are scared of, and especially in the film world where you have all these different kinds of gadgets. These lights are very easy to set up, so there's no reason to be intimidated by them at all.
Amazing.
So once you've shot your video, once you've basically done that, you have to edit your video. And there are a number of software opportunities that you can get, or that are open or free as well. Adobe Premiere is the most professional of the software that we recommend. So that's the one that we use. It's on a subscription basis, and it has probably the most options in terms of editing, and it's probably in my opinion, it's the easiest to use. But if you don't want to spend money, you can also get other free programs like iMovie, which is for iMac, iPhone, iPad. You probably have seen it on your iPhone or on your iPad, and if you have a MacBook, on your MacBook as well. And it's really simple to use. You drag and drop, and it gives you an unlimited amount of audio tracks that you can do, as well as an unlimited amount of video tracks that you can use as well. And you export. It works with iCloud, so your video is automatically saved to iCloud, and it's really simple to export. And then once you export it, the video's there. OpenShot, if you don't have a MacBook, I recommend OpenShot for PC. Once again, also unlimited tracks, unlimited video tracks as well, and audio tracks. And it's also simply very drag and drop, so that you can then export your video once you've edited it completely, and you have a nice pristine edited video. There's also a couple of other ones that are Movie Maker 10 and Shotcut. Movie Maker 10 is for Windows and Shotcut is for all devices. So those are also some that I recommend as well if you test these out and you don't like them very much.
So I have to tell a story here. A couple of months back, Eugenia was asked to perform on Russian television, a live show. And so we naively thought that since we have pretty good Wi-Fi in our apartment, that everything would go smoothly as long as we connected it right. We were in Skype, which is what they used, and everything would go smoothly. Well, it didn't. The audio was impossible to listen to. I mean, it was very disheartening after hours of prepping everything, testing everything out, for her to actually go on live television and for it to sound not very good. Since then, we have invested in an Ethernet cable, which should be an obvious thing, but in our case, we were very naive. So yes, if in case for those of you who have not invested in Ethernet cable, I highly recommend it. They're very cheap. Do not do any live performances without one. Otherwise, you're going to have the embarrassment that we endured.
I'll tell you that also on these Zoom meetings as well. I've had a couple of Zoom meetings and my internet has been completely a disaster, and I've left meetings because my internet does not work. And this is just a Zoom meeting, so.
And there's so many auditions actually going to be held virtually on Zoom, where you're in a waiting room and you come in and you have to sing for people on Zoom. And and if your Wi-Fi fails, oh my gosh, I can't even imagine. Amazing. That's such a great tip. I would never have thought to put an Ethernet cable. No, I just would not. We just don't do that anymore.
No, it's something that you take for granted, but yeah, and and I just saw pop up on the chat. There's Ethernet connection. There are things that you can, like little adapters that you can buy that will hook into the appropriate connectors for different Apple devices. We actually have one as well. And yes, a $6 Ethernet cable would work. So awesome. Earbuds. This is more for when you're recording your own videos at home. So part of our setup is that we have the track playing in the earbud while we record the voice alone, and then eventually I will edit the two together. And obviously earbuds are there's a lot of different kinds of earbuds. Obviously Apple has their own brand and there's Samsung's brand. And they can get pretty pricey, but I have found some very affordable earbuds for $40 that I've used since March, and they're really good. I have added a link. They're the Soundpeats. There's a lot of different kinds. I mean, you might be looking at some of these earbuds and thinking, oh, they're really cheap. There must be really bad quality. I have tried out a couple of different kinds of earbuds because I really love them, and these are the ones that they're much better than the price would indicate. So I highly recommend these for people that are on a budget and want to get new earbuds. They help because, again, you're able to hear the track while you're singing without the distraction of it playing in front of you, and then you can edit it together. This is mainly for videos that you're going to edit together for an audition or for a performance video, for example.
So rather than using the track in like an external speaker kind of a thing at your house and then, recording the video, what you're saying is have the earbud in, playing the track from your phone or whatever, record your video of just your audio, and then on another person's side or yourself, if you're that savvy, you take the track that you were listening to and you put it together with the video that you made at home. Am I understanding that correctly?
That is absolutely correct. Yes.
Amazing. Okay, great.
When we started this, we used to have the track playing out loud and then have her singing, and then that was that. And then I would try to do whatever I could in the editing suite to make it better. But I have much more control when I have both tracks individually, because then I can manipulate them individually to improve the sound quality of the accompaniment, to balance basically. And also you're ensuring that the voice is cleaner, and you're ensuring that the audio is not, the audio track is not in any way distracting from it. And so especially for virtual performances where they want you to send in the videos or even audition tapes, it allows the voice to shine. It doesn't give a muddied sound quality to having both things at the same time.
Yeah, I have to imagine also that it improves the sound quality of the track, because what we've been finding obviously is when we're doing this on Zoom and we're playing the track and someone is singing with the track, that we've got someone who has recorded it into, you know, whatever software, then that's gone through an email, then that email's gone through the speaker, then that speaker's gone through our speaker, and it's, you know, it sounds tinny, it sounds distorted. So
Yeah.
what you're saying then is you can take that track and actually keep it sort of in its original condition, and it's going to sound a ton better than if you play the track and then try to record the video.
Yes.
Is that, yeah, that's kind of, I think that's amazing. That I never would have thought that. Incredible.
I mean, we have to come to terms with the fact that we are living in a video world in many ways, and so we have to try and understand, work on video's terms, and video allows us the opportunity to edit. And, and you know, if it facilitates the quality of a final video, then we need to take advantage of that, especially because it might be the thing that, you know, when you're sending along these tracks, it's gonna, I mean, for a singer especially, when you're in these situations where you're not able to sing loud, where it's all about getting your voice across in the best possible way, and there are limitations and there are different factors that are going to affect that. Well, this is definitely something that I know helps, at least in allowing you to sing the best possible way, and not worry about whether you're, because again, if you're recording a video and you have the audio playing there and you're singing and you're starting to wonder, well, is the track going to sound good with my voice? Is my voice going to sound good in the space with the track? If you can just focus on having your voice sound good and then worry about adding the track later, I think it makes everyone, it makes your life a lot easier.
Now, David and Francisco, is this something that you guys are doing through the production company for singers? Are you having people send, you know, the two files, the video file, the track file, and then are you putting them together for people?
Yes, I have been doing that a lot with, we have been doing that a lot with singers, particularly some singers with, that are in the, singers from all different parts of different programs have been submitting their videos and their audio tracks, and we've been able to help them edit them. Yes.
Okay, awesome. That's incredible. Thank you so much for that. Wow. Okay, tips for at-home recording. Please tell us, please. We need to know.
So there's, I mean, again, this is, oh, one thing I'm sorry, we didn't include that on the list, but I would be remiss if I didn't mention it. And it's just a little bit of a thing for singers in terms of equipment. I would recommend having a hard drive so that you don't add all your video and sound onto your computer and overload it eventually. It's just, it makes things easier for you in the long run.
Especially if you're working with iMovie, which saves everything to iCloud and it saves it all over the place. I would probably put everything into that hard drive so that it's organized and you know what auditions are, what videos they are, because I know that working from iMovie can be a bit challenging sometimes.
Okay, awesome.
So I think that the first things first, in terms of camera, in terms of how you set up your camera, I think that the best setup is widescreen or landscape. It gives you a lot more to do. It allows you more space and freedom as a singer when you're in front of the camera. If you set yourself up horizontally, you're automatically cramming the space. So just be prepared to set up your camera horizontally.
Landscape, yeah. If you're using especially an iPhone.
Yes.
More so, yes. The
tripod, like I said, the tripod I recommended earlier will allow you to do that. So there's this I guess some people have different theories on this and on ideas on this, but personally, and I've had this discussion a lot with my wife about, where do you look? So there's this thing called the fourth wall, which I'm very sure many singers are aware of when they're performing. Obviously, the fourth wall is something that when you're in performance, you don't necessarily break a lot unless it's very intentional and it's part of the direction or it has some sort of an effect you want. And so I would recommend that when you're doing your audition tapes, you take this into account. You think about the fact that looking right in the camera is breaking that fourth wall. When you're on stage, you're probably looking at your partner. When you're doing an audition, I don't know that you're looking right at the people that are in the audition room with you and trying to meet their eye line or their gaze. So think of it in that way. It's probably best to pick a spot off camera to look. The reason why is because you want people to focus on your singing and your performance. You don't want to feel like they're looking right in your face. I mean, it's just a natural human thing. We feel uncomfortable when people are staring right at us, looking at us right in the eye for too long, even in our normal everyday conversations. So that's the same exact thing with the camera. Don't stare right into the camera unless it's a very intentional effect. It's something either you're going to do for a comedic effect, or for example, in more contemporary repertoire where there's a specific message you might want to give to the audience as part of the aria or the piece. Well, that might be a moment to look right at the camera. But in other cases, you probably want to think of it how you might perform other kinds of auditions where you're not looking directly into the eyes of the people that are auditioning you. I know that some people disagree with this perspective, but this is something that I've definitely found that I believe works best. Microphone placement. So this is actually something that when you're doing a live audition or you're going to do a live performance, I think one of the things that you can't overlook is testing it out, seeing if you have a friend or someone that you can call in and just test out your setup to see where the best place to put your microphone is or how it's sounding. This is might seem like an unnecessary step, but it's such a vital one because you can't tell how it's coming across, and you might think it works a certain way, but the reality is that it depends on the situation. It depends on where you are in the room, in the space. So I would recommend definitely testing it out. This same goes for your track. When you're doing a live performance or audition with your track, you want to make sure the most important thing is that you hear it, because there's nothing like trying to think about. You want to make sure that you hear it, because at the end of the day, they're listening to your singing, and the track is secondary. And if the track is too close to the microphone, but you can't hear it, it's not valuable to you. Camera placement, like I mentioned, the widescreen landscape is the way to go, simply because it allows you more freedom in the space. But alternatively, because of that, you also have to make sure that your background is clean and not distracting. You want to make sure that you don't have too many things going on that are going to distract from looking at you as a performer. That you're
like my painting in the background.
I like that painting.
Yes, but as Dave said, you don't want to distract. And when we've done the Dallas Opera show, he's told, because I have so many paintings and where I'm currently at, he said always try to choose a wall that is as neutral as possible so that you're not distracted by what's in their background.
Yeah, I mean, in our apartment we have a brick wall, and that's has texture, but we make sure there's nothing else nearby to avoid any kind of other distractions. We want it to be focused solely on the singer and the singing.
Wonderful. Thank you.
I did see one question about how much editing is too much editing and what audio software we use. So in my opinion, I think it's really important that when you are editing, that your video looks as natural as possible. You don't want to put too much reverb on your audio, because ultimately this is not a CD or anything that you're doing. You're not producing a recording. You're producing an audition. So just always make it as pure as possible.
And as far as the software, I mean, because I use the Adobe Suite, I use Adobe
Soundtrack.
There are a couple of audio softwares that we can definitely add links to in a little bit.
Amazing. Thank you guys so much. So what we're going to do is we're going to start with some of our singers, and we're going to have a look after they've sung through their aria the first time at their spaces, what their setup looks like, where their camera is placed, how their microphone is set, and we're going to have them join after they've sung with a second device so that we can take a peek at all of that. And then we're going to talk about what we could change, where we could move the camera, how we could set the microphone, things like that, and we'll try again. So we're going to start with Nadège. Are you there, honey?
Yes, I'm there.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for being with us today. Beautiful jumpsuit. I love it. Please announce your piece, and we will get started hearing some amazing soprano singing today.
I'm going to sing Ernani Volami from Ernani Verdi. I may put the button pause for the calendar. I have to. sorry, a minute, sorry. A minute, please. I'm there.
No problem. Take your time and get it set up where you need it. No problem.
Okay, that's why. Okay, here I am, sorry.
Sweetie. Bravissima. Thank you so much for sharing that with us and for dealing with all of your tech over there. That was fabulous. Great job. And you did it with calm. I
Yeah,
love it.
Elvira for an online audition is like, woo!
Bravissima.
Right?
So Nadège, while you get your second device out over there and get yourself set up so we can take a look at your setup, I'm going to go over here and pull up your resume and photo for Jenna to take a look at. And then we'll have a look at your setup. So Jenna, here we have Nadège's beautiful CV and photo. Is there any advice that you can give to her in regards to this, or anything she could clean up or change, anything you like, things like that would be great.
Just a few tips. Nadège, what I really like is that you've incorporated some different photographs, not only one portrait photograph, but you've also got a performance photograph in there. You know, right now you're on to 2 pages, and I think often, as Jennifer mentioned earlier, and as we know, we're seeing, they're really asking for 1 page, which of course isn't going to be possible with all of the images. So I would say if you really feel strongly about including additional images, maybe just have 1 instead of 4, and have that be, you know, I think the portrait is really strong, but I really like the in performance image. And what I would actually recommend, I like the separate portrait that you included, that we can see in the bottom right corner here.
I agree. I think it's really stunning.
Yeah, it's got a beautiful lighting on it. I love how your face is framed. I would actually use that as your portrait image on the resume itself. It speaks really strongly. And then maybe include the performance image of you in that beautiful sort of fuchsia red dress as an additional image to include. I like that you've got some, you know, vibrant color in the font usage on your resume. I think that's great. As I mentioned earlier, it personalizes it a little bit. What I would say is currently in using the colors sort of in each bullet, in addition to bold text, in addition to just, you know, regular text, it's a little bit different because it's pulling our eyes in a lot of different directions. So I would have your categories still be in that sort of bright, it looks a little more bright pink on the screen, but I'm looking at it on my computer. It's almost more like a deep watermelon color.
It's like a red, yeah.
A deep fuchsia, it's like a deep fuchsia color or something like that, a deep red. I would say just have like your name and FOC and the categories be in that color, and then have the rest be in black, because otherwise, again, our eyes are being pulled in so many different directions. We've got bold, we've got, you know, I think that would really help. Additionally, on the resume itself, you know, there's some areas that there are just minor little changes that you could make that will help it look more clear. There are some of the bullets that have commas at the end that don't need to. I don't think you need to have a comma at the end of each of those lines. Also in your category listings, I would change the order of your categories. Currently, you're starting with your education, and we're not actually getting to your roles until later, after grants and competitions. Then we're getting to roles, then we're getting to roles and study, then we're getting to concerts. Move the rest of that up. We want to see the opera first. Let's see the work first, and then the grants and competitions, the education piece, that can come later. The only section that I think is, and I love seeing your languages, by the way, it's very helpful to know. And I think if there are people on this chat who are talented and knowledgeable enough to have several languages sort of in their lexicon, you know, please list those. That's great. Awesome that you play piano and cello. That's really cool to know. I'm not sure that is going to be the best use of space on a resume. I would rather see some categories added for if there are any conductors maybe you've worked with, or directors or other coaches. We see your masterclass listing, which is great, like a wonderful list of sopranos, and also a few other people listed on here too. But what we're not seeing necessarily is that specific conductor listing, specific directors. So I really like that I'm seeing individuality in this. And I think from Jen commented on your jumpsuit that we see that you're wearing today, which is beautiful. Like, we're seeing you in this resume, which is so great. So I think if you can take that and make it just easier to read and easier to navigate, you'll find that it's a great success for you.
I agree, totally.
Again, we're already seeing you in this, and I think if it can just be cleaner. it'll make a huge difference.
Absolutely. Okay, Nadège, can you get your second device and show us your setup there so that David and Francisco can have a look, and we can really talk about the sound and the video and how you have it set up and things like that. David and Francisco, I'm going to just turn it over to you guys for some initial comments while we're getting her set up on her phone over there. And yeah.
I mean, from my end, the sound quality came through pretty well. I think that her voice was coming through pretty solidly. So I think on that end, and I think it was yeah, I think that from a vocal perspective, we could hear her loud and clear. So that was, wherever it is that you're putting the microphone right now, I think that's the right spot.
I had a different experience though.
I did too. I had a very different experience.
On the overtones, I heard it was getting overmodulated, and sometimes we were losing some of the upper register. So I think that there was some distortion as well on that. And by the way, congratulations, bravo! That's a hard audition piece, by the way.
Very hard.
I mean, wow, bringing that Verity. And I think too, I'm not sure, David and Francisco, how you guys feel about this, and Jen as well. I think especially knowing this audition repertoire and sort of what roles are in there. I mean, I'm seeing Elettra, I'm seeing, you know, Tosca, all these things. I think the space needs to be larger.
Yeah, because it's a larger voice, I think, because it's a much bigger voice. It's actually, I think it's harder because your voice is a bigger voice, and you need to make sure that your microphone is placed at the correct place so that your voice doesn't get distorted and it's allowed to bloom.
Nadège, can you turn your video on your second device, and then we can take a peek at
Do you see it? I have it.
I see you, but I don't see. Oh, is it on? Okay, flip your audio off on your first device so we get the audio on the second device, and then I'll be able to see you. Did it work? Okay. Let me see. I think you're towards the end here. Yeah, I don't see yet. I don't see yet. Do you have the video and the audio on the phone? Yes, you do? Okay. Just flip it around so we can take a peek at what you are. There we go. Okay, that helps. That helps us.
I don't see her screen.
I know, I don't see her screen either. I see her in the I see her in the list. You found it? Okay, great.
I found it.
Oh, there we go.
Okay, great.
Okay,
Great.
Oh, I see. Yes. Okay.
Yeah, I agree. I completely agree with Jenna. I think if you have a bigger space, so that you can place your microphone at a distance, a little distance, and I think testing out where you place your microphone is going to be really important, because I think when you're doing something like Verdi or where that have higher and top notes, you need to make sure that those top notes resonate when you're recording with your microphone, with your whatever microphone it is you're doing. In this terms, I think we're using the Zoom mic, so so it's obviously computer mics are always going to get overmodulated when you're going with.
Nadège, can you turn around so we can see your computer and your setup? There we go. Perfect. Awesome. Okay, so the speaker is set. Where is your orchestral speaker set at?
I think
Down there. Okay.
Now
And do you have an external mic as well, Nadège? You have
Right
that.
there.
Okay. So what I would
Zoom mic.
say,
Okay.
yeah, and I know that this is going to resonate with many of you, and I know this to be true about Jen, because I've been very lucky to be in some of Jen's lessons and coachings in the back corner, literally just with an iPhone, but I get up as far away from her as I can into the back corner, and every voice is different. Some voices, even voices of size, for some reason you can record with an iPhone right up next to them, and something about, you know, the overtones and all of that in their voice, it works, the vibrations work. Some of them you really need that space, and I think Nadège, and then especially for any other voices of size, spinto voices, dramatic voices, you are the people, especially right now, if you can get into a studio in your alma mater, if you can get into a church, if you can get into any kind of space that's larger than, you know, a bedroom or a living room or a vocal studio, you will find that it helps. But if you can't, get that microphone, I think, as far away from you as you can to allow us to hear as much as possible. And as Francisco said, and I know David knows this too, Zoom's job is to compress voices, literally to homogenize the sound so we're speaking, so we can sound clear when we're speaking. I mean, they're trying to improve this for performers, but since you have an external mic already, you know, just I think create more space, make more of a performance space, so your voice can speak in that way.
I think that's also very much for even the coloratura voices, the higher, you know, when you're getting to the higher top as well. I think you also need to make sure that when you have those higher notes, that they're not overmodulated when you're on a microphone. So yeah, it's really, I think you have to test out when you have to really test it. You have to do various different tests, sing into it, put it in different places until you find a place that you have your sound as clear as possible.
Mm-hmm. Nadège, could you do a little experiment for us? You can turn off your second device now and go back to your main device and turn your audio back on. Can you do a little experiment for us and move your speaker that you have by the computer that's playing your accompaniment? Can you move that a little further away? And then can you adjust the gain on your microphone down just a little bit? Because when you go into the top of the voice, which is really beautiful and vibrant and fantastic, it is definitely overblowing our our poor little speakers on our end. So if you adjust the gain a bit on the microphone, maybe we will get with the music speaker a little further away and the gain on the microphone down a little bit, maybe we'll get a better balance for this particular video setting. Yeah, that might work well. That's a cool speaker. I like that. And then I think it would be great to just have you start the second part of the aria again for us. I'm going to just unmute you here. Start the second part of the aria again for us after the cadenza. And I want you, don't be afraid to sing in your space, yeah? Don't hold the voice in because we're in a smaller space or in a smaller room. Don't sing for Zoom. Sing for the theater, yeah? We can adjust the microphone settings. We can adjust the speaker settings, but you sing for you, yeah? So let's try that. Let's try from right after the cadenza into the second part of the aria, which sits a little bit higher. Adjust your feet down just a little bit with the speaker a little bit further away, and let's see if we get a bit of a better balance, okay?
Okay.
Awesome. I love this setup with the iPad and the speaker and everything. It's so great.
Yeah, and I think
we
one
really
thing
have
I
to
would
work.
suggest too, Nadège, is if you want as well, and it would be easier with more time, but if you had a small table or something to the side of you or in front of you, that you could set the iPad on to turn around and you know, pause the music, restart the music, rather than, but if it were in front of you somehow, you know, sitting on something, then you could just kind of lean down, pause, play, rather than having to turn around and lose your contact, I think, with the camera and lose the parent. So that's just something to think about as well, because I think we like to see you stay engaged with you.
Wonderful.
Big Verdi.
Are you ready over there?
Yeah.
Okay, let's do it.
Do you see me?
I do. I'm going to turn off your other. Got it. I got it. All right.
Okay, thank you.
You can turn off your second device now, hon. We are good with that one.
Okay.
Thank you. All right, here we go. Oh, that's good.
tutto sprezzato non there is an echo. Sorry.
Yeah, 1 second. Let's just have you turn off your Zoom completely from your second device. Just disconnect altogether. No worries. That was a good level though for the accompaniment. That actually helped a lot. So let's just try that one more time. Sans echo.
But I wanted to.
Great.
Tutto sprezzato non farà questo corre, non va di magari, posare tra, buttar, questo reca, di mia fuga il lieto istante, vorrei correre e supplizi d'oggior vola o tempo corrente e supplizi d'oggior avo l'autem corre monte e supplizi d'oggior
Thank you, Nadège. Thank you so much. It was much better. I still had some distortion in the top, but I heard much more clarity in the sound. David and Francisco, do you guys have any other advice to kind of get that distortion off the top? Or is it just, it's a big voice and probably she's going to have to record the vocal track and then the audio track and have them put together in order to make that happen? What do you guys think? Oh, we need to unmute. We need to unmute David, unmute, and Francisco.
Dave?
There you are. I got you now.
And would you like to comment?
I mean, I think it would be really good to just continue to. I think even if you took the track off, I think you'd still get some distortion because the voice is very big. And as Jenna said, I do agree. If there's a space that could have a better acoustic and that can help you, you know, to smoothen that out, I think that would be really a better place to go. If not, I would still test and go and look and see, place the microphone in a different place or try to put it as further as possible, because your voice resonates really well in the middle, but then when it goes up to the higher, it does create the distortion, and that's just generally because of how the voice and just how it blooms in that position. I think Jen, you would know better because
but
your
it's
voice
so
is
hard. It's so hard to record big voices. It's so hard, and you definitely have to have that microphone set really. I mean, the setting has to be really right. We don't want to turn the gain too far down that we lose the overtones, because that's really, I mean, if you turn the gain way down, we lose all the overtones. So that's not really the solution either. The solution, I think, for what Francisco is saying here is really the best one, just to get a bigger space. And really see if in the bigger space we can get a little bit better quality. And then, you know, the other side of that is they're gonna know. You know, any video you send to a panel, to a company, and if the high notes are a bit distorted as they're coming out in Zoom, they're going to know that it's a big voice, and then they're going to be able to say, okay, well, that voice is big because it's killing the microphone. So it's a really not, you know, a humongous deal. And, you know, there definitely are notices on all of these, you know, audition listings that are saying, you know, we understand the challenges of making these videos and things at home. And yes, it's not going to be 100%, you know, perfect all the time, but I would definitely recommend Nadège, because you have such a big, beautiful voice. You have to sing with it full all the time, just like you did here. Don't try to bring it down in the middle because you think, oh no, it's too big. It's going to be too loud on the microphone or on the camera or anything like that. Don't even go there. Just sing with that big, luscious voice, let it out, and we will deal with it on our end if it's too loud. Okay. So really, really, I think it's the best, I think, advice is to find the bigger space to allow the bigger voice to have some space.
I also think from a visual perspective, it'll help, because we could see how the space is limitations by all the stuff that's around there, and I think that also will help in terms of the visual aspect.
Fabulous. Thank you, guys. Thank you, Nadège.
You'll feel that space, I think. And Jen, your quick tip about moving the speaker immediately, because it was fighting, the sound was fighting before. It was an immediate help. And I think as well, you know, getting further back in the room, moving the mic further back, and if you're a voice of size and you literally have no option to get into any other space right now, you're going to be doing a lot of experimenting, you know, sort of no matter what. But I thought it was more consistent, Nadège, when you sang full, as Jen said, already it was a much better experience. It was more like that performance. It was really powerful.
That's for everyone. That's for everyone. Don't sing for Zoom. Don't sing for the little tiny iPad or iPhone in front of you. Sing for the theater. And you know, it's hard. I know it's hard. Believe me, I've had to make a recording in quarantine too, for a very important house that wanted to hear something, and I had to find another space. There was no chance I could record it here in my little music studio that I teach in. It's not possible. You have to have a space. So, you know, I learned very quickly that you can't sing for the iPhone. You have to sing for the theater, and don't be apologetic about that. Just use that big, beautiful voice and let it out and let it rip. And in editing, they can change it. You know, in editing, they can clean it up. They can make it a little bit more consistent, things like that. So Nadège, beautiful job. Fantastic. Thank you for being here with us from France. Go to bed now. Thank you, bravissima. We're going to move on to Jaime. Jaime Webb, are you there, sweetheart?
I am. Hi.
Hi.
Hello, everyone.
Hi, thank you for being with us. Just introduce what piece you're going to sing, and we will get started.
I'm Jaime Webb, and I will be singing Achillipte, and I will pull that up now.
Thank you.
Gott
brava. You came to get the job today, girl. I love it. I love it. Bravissima. While we have you get your second device up and running, Jenna, I am going to pull Jamie's resume and photo up over here on screen share. And we can have a look and see what we've got going on here. Here we go.
Great. Thank you. Brava, Jamie, that was great. Everybody's bringing this really epic rep today.
Seriously. And that seemed like it was so easy for her too. Like, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Preparation is key, clearly.
Key.
Wow. So this is great. I'm glad to see, Jamie, that you've got your photo on yours as well as Nadège did. Again, it's very helpful to have your image on your resume just in case things get mixed up or who knows what in the submission process for everybody. You've got your name, you've got your FOC, that's wonderful. Where you list your website, and I'm so happy that you have a website, you don't even need to put HTTP before that. I think it's the hyperlink sort of displayed a little differently. You could just have jamiewebb.com.
Perfect.
And that'll be fine on that display with your contact info. You've got a really good order going here in your order of repertoire, concert, education, you know, everything. It looks really, really great. You've got a nice long list of artists and, you know, all of the things you've participated in. It's clearly very up to date, which I love to see. The one thing that I would suggest on your resume, knowing that it's so beautifully organized already and it's so clear, is I would love to see actually a little bit more of your personality in this, whether it's putting your name and your FOC in a particular color and categories, or maybe a design element somewhere. In your photo, especially your separate portrait photograph, you've got sort of this beautiful, vibrant color going, you know, lipstick and clothing wise, you know, maybe incorporating a darker, very legible shade of that. The resume would be great. And I would also say too, something, this is for you, but everyone watching this, have fun with fonts as well. There might be a font that sort of reflects who you are personality wise and maybe isn't something that's stock or standard, but it's a little bit outside of the box, as long as it's legible. And I think the font size you have here is great. Play around with fonts a little bit and see if there's something that, again, inflects a little bit more of your personality, and knowing your repertoire and everything as well. I think your photos do. So have that resume translate that too.
Great.
Maybe the one thing that I think I would change, take off the lyric part of coloratura soprano. Just put coloratura soprano. And the reason being is, if you decide to classify yourself as lyric coloratura, some people say Constanza is dramatic coloratura. So then behind the table, they're going, well, why is she singing Constanza then? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So just in case, just leave coloratura soprano, basta così, and be amazing. Yes. Okay, let's have a look at your setup over there, since we've got our second phone up.
Oh my goodness, how do I switch it around? I don't know.
Oh, you could just turn it. Just turn it. It's fine. There we go.
So this is my little setup. I have my speaker here with playing my pianist, who is Sunny Yu. I want to shout out to him. He's awesome. And then
yay.
This is my Zoom microphone. I have the same exact microphone. Yeah. And then I have my score here in case anyone wants to give me feedback on the music.
I love that. I love that. And you're in a big space. Okay, David and Francisco, I'm going to turn it over to you while Jamie switches back to her main device. And yeah, anything you guys want to say, and that would be great.
So I actually found that the voice sounded very even. I think it communicated better in the top, and then the middle of the voice was not as well heard. But I think overall there was an evenness in the recording quality. I don't know if that. So I heard it. I thought it was good. I thought this where the microphone was placed was clearly a very good place for the voice.
Is there anything I can do to help the middle voice be clearer while also keeping the top heard? You know?
I think that's also just playing around where you place it, because where you placed it was good, particularly for your top part, because I think it's also where the voice resonates really, really well. So
Jamie, turn your mic gain up just a little bit. We're having a hard time hearing you when you're speaking. We heard you very, very easily when you were singing, but the speaking now is a little low. So just turn the gain back up. Yeah, it's a little better.
Okay.
It's better. It's a little better than it was. Yeah, that's better. Okay. David, anything you want to add?
Yeah, his
Is
mic
he
is
there?
off.
David? Oh, his mic is off. Hold on a second. David, unmute. There we go.
I had very similar impressions to my brother in terms of sound quality. I mean, the tops were really, it came across very well. And I think visual setup looked good. Again, I think it's just a matter of experimenting for you in terms of figuring out where it balances best with your voice. There was, while they were performing, there was a question about how far away from the camera should you be.
Yeah, I felt like I kind of cut myself off from the top, and I was like, oh, should I tilt my camera down?
I mean, I think like waist up is really good. Yeah, I think around. I mean, it looked good. I mean, we could see you what you were doing with the. I think that's a good position for you in terms of positioning the camera.
Okay.
Yeah, I would definitely like to see a bit more of you from what we did before, not necessarily right now. Now you've moved back a little bit, so it's a little bit better. But I would definitely say from hip up, I waist and hip up, I definitely like to see. I actually saw this morning when I was reading that HGO release that they're going to be asking for a more full body look. There is a paragraph specifically in there that says when you set up your recording, we would like to see 3/4 or more of your body to get, and I think it specifically said to get an idea of acting. So maybe we could start back at the beginning of the aria and just have you back up a little bit. We might have to adjust the mic level just up a touch if you're going to stand back a little bit more, but just to get an idea of what it might look like if we saw a little bit more of the body. Yeah. Let's try that. Let's have you just turn the gain up just a little bit more and stand back so we can see. Yeah, like I would say hip up. Yeah, let's try from there. Yeah. And then we'll just start right from the beginning of the aria, and I'll give you a high five when when we can stop.
Sounds good. I'll make sure I have the right song.
Brava, honey. Brava, Jamie. Thank you. I like that so much more. I love being able to see a little bit more of your body and how you're acting, and also turning the mic gain up a bit and moving backwards. We got more of the middle voice, and also the top actually sounded bigger. We got a little bit more bloom up in the top. David, Francisco, I'm going to ask your guys' opinion since you really have that editing ear. How did you feel about that sound quality and
I
visual?
I thought that the sound quality was much better, and there was more meat to the middle, for sure.
Yeah.
And I'd also, you know, one thing Dave talked about where to look in the camera. I also found that I didn't really that you, because you were so into the music, wherever you were looking was engaging. I was really engaged with the performance. So
I agree, totally agree. David, anything to add?
Yeah, I think that taking a couple of steps back definitely helped a lot, because you didn't feel like you were right in their face, and it definitely allowed a lot more of them to be able to engage with you as in the performance, for sure.
Yeah, totally agreed. And I think we could hear your space a little better too. You know, we can hear then as the listener that this voice will go into a theater. Yeah, this is a coloratura soprano of size. This voice can sing Lucia. This voice can sing Hamlet. This voice can sing Constanza. And we could hear more of that in your space in the sound quality. So I think that's a great setup right there for you.
I don't know if you were conscious or not of that, but it felt like you were singing more into the space and less into the microphone.
Right. Yeah.
And that.
Yeah, totally agree.
It was hugely different. And I think what Jen said about your resume actually speaks to what we heard in the second performance when she said, take the lyric out of there.
Yeah.
Because all of a sudden we really were presented with more color, more resonance, more presence, more sound. And I think it leads the mind and ears to think of even more possibilities, not only with the repertoire you're in, but even beyond that. And we weren't necessarily hearing that before because it was a little more homogenous and a little more enclosed, whereas Nadège's had been, you know, really large, and we were thinking about how can we sort of get this to fit in. For yours, I think it's actually opening it up. And if you have a space, use that space both visually and sound wise. And I think some lighting probably would really be helpful in this space as well, because it's a lot of darker wood behind you. And you look great on camera. I mean, it's like beautiful voices, beautiful ladies today. But I think getting a little bit of light on you might help as well, because that'll enhance sort of the acting and that sort of cinematic feel.
Agree. And I love the framing that the camera then did when you backed up a little bit. I mean, we got this really beautiful backdrop without it being a backdrop, but we really had like a scene behind you. And I thought that was really beautiful. And I would love to watch any of your videos that look like that. I mean, I think it looks really fantastic. And the sound, like I said, the sound just bloomed and was really, really, really gorgeous. Fantastic. Anybody want to add anything else?
Dave? And I just wanted to say, when you did step back, as Jenna said, lighting will be a much better, will be helpful completely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think lighting. And when you move back, what happens is the minute you start singing and start acting, you also start to move forward a bit. I think you notice even at certain points that you sort of were creeping ahead. So just be conscious of that when that happens, that you may get past a certain point that the sound is going to change or something else. So if you can, know the space that you have to play in, play around with that a little bit, and then even mark it if you need to.
Yeah, put some tape on the floor. Yeah.
I can see the floor.
No, you're
fabulous. Jamie, thank you so much, sweetheart. That was really fantastic. Thank you for showing us your setup and
all of your time so much.
You're wonderful. You sound awesome. Okay, Julia, are you there, sweetie? We're gonna move on to Miss Julia.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi, everyone.
Hi, sweetie. Thank you so much for being with us. Please announce your piece and we will get started.
I will be singing Signore Ascolta from Turandot by Puccini.
Thank you.
Signore, ascolta, io non reggi più
brava. Oh. Stunning. Brava, bravissima. Thank you so much, sweetheart, for that. I'm gonna screen share over here and get your resume and photos pulled up while you start your second device. And I'm gonna call on Jenna to have a peek here at Julia's beautiful, look at that photo. Oh my gosh, what a model. All right, there's Julia's photo and resume.
Just like
gorgeous, right?
Gorgeous with her today.
And beautiful voices too. My goodness, yeah. Julia, that was stunning.
Yeah,
amazing.
This is an embarrassment of riches today, I think, for all of us. So,
for real.
Julia, wonderful to see you and to hear you. Always wonderful to hear Liu. She's one of the only lovable characters in that opera. She's for sure. So what I would say on your resume, what I like is I'm seeing already in your photographs and even the sort of subtle color choices you've made to accent the resume, everything's coordinated. It has a similar look and feel. That contrast color you selected for the categories for your name really matches the vibe of your photos, and I like that very much. What I would suggest is that this resume be reformatted slightly. I would love to see your name and your FOC at the top and larger of the resume. Right now, it's sort of hidden off to the side under your photo. You don't really know where to look first. I think you have to help us guide our eye to that information first. I would say as well, I don't think having a biography is necessarily a necessity on a resume, especially when you've got this much information to share. That biographical information is something that maybe along the way in a conversation with a panel or something else, if they want a little background about you, or on your website, obviously having your biography, or even if a program is asking for your biography as a separate piece in addition to your resume or CV, that's a place for that. But I think here it ends up getting a little bit crowded, sort of in this 2-column style that's happening. I would rather see the format change and get everything much easier to read from top to bottom. But I mean, you've got great categories here. I would say on your roles, you've got a great list going. You've got role study, concert and opera scenes, awards. Everything is really, really good. You've got your teachers and master classes. I would also say move that contact information again to the top under your name and FOC. It's just easier. People are used to sort of seeing these in a certain format, and that's the information they want to be able, if they're flipping through a paper stack, if they happen to be printing these off and they're looking for contact info, it's much easier if it's at the top. But other than that, I think it's really good, and you're already getting an idea of who you are and how you're reflecting that visually. So I think if you can make it just a little easier for the panel to read, that would be great.
Jenna, can you talk for just a second about what she actually is saying in her small biography here? Because I think this is important. Yes. I think we have some singers in our chat today that, you know, perhaps have had a break at a certain point for one reason or another, and how to sort of notate that on the resume so that, you know, we don't need to apologize for having a break in our performing career.
Never.
It's okay. It's perfectly fine. Don't apologize for anything. But to have a way of notating it on the resume, just say, you know, oh, I took 3 years off to have some babies, you know, or something of that nature. What would be a good way for the singer who like to have had a break in their schedule?
What I would suggest for anyone who's had a break, and as Jen just said, there's no need to be apologetic about this. Don't apologize for anything in your life unless you've actually wronged someone else. But do not ever apologize for breaks you took in your life, or a FOC change that required 3 years of a complete technical rebuild or something like that. What you don't need to do is apologize. However, what you also shouldn't do is over-explain. You really need to give them just some basic information about why there's a gap in the schedule. What I would do in this situation, rather than having sort of a biography section, I would have a little divider or a little call out, perhaps in your roles section, a little section that says maybe see below for additional details on this time period. And then you could have 1 to 2 lines at the very bottom, like have an asterisk and then have an asterisk at the very bottom of your resume that lists just 1 to 2 lines about whatever break you took, and say there was a gap between 2017 to 2019. where I took a break from singing. I've re-entered it. This is what I've done since then. Whatever you need to say, but make it short, sweet, honest, and to the point. And I think it's absolutely helpful to include that. Now, if you're in a situation where they are okay with you providing supplementary materials or additional materials, that is also an opportunity that you can provide a full biography, which would detail this information, or a cover letter that introduces you, introduces your background in singing and your story a little bit. If they say, if any of these application processes allow for you to submit supplemental material, that's also an opportunity that you could share additional documents that tell more about you and your story. But I think,
fabulous.
you know, again, you want them to see, you know, help them to navigate through, and you don't necessarily want to give a full paragraph to something like this. However, there is an appropriate way to do it, and I think you can build it into the resume itself and then call it out right on the bottom. That's what I would
Wonderful,
suggest.
Jenna. Thank you so much. Julia, can you take your second device there and show us your setup so we can see what's going on? I love that you have your accompaniment on your TV. That is like giving me so much life right now. Fabulous. Okay, show us around. Is she there?
Yeah, I see it.
You see her? Okay, yes, Julia, turn your audio on, then we can get screen view to change.
Jenna, someone asked about putting recordings on your resume. How do you credit that?
Yes, if you've been featured on recordings, if you've been on a CD or an online only release or something like that, you simply create it as a recordings section on your resume. You can say discography or recordings, either works. Recordings is great if you have audio and visual recordings. If you were on a DVD, if you were, you know, an apprentice in a program and one of the operas got put on DVD, you know, either works. But you can say recordings or discography and then list them. Please make sure to list the pertinent information, including the title, you know, the title of the work. If it's a new opera specifically, people love to see the composer librettist names on there, the company, the label, and the release year. That's very helpful information to have if you have discography already.
Fabulous. So we have Julia's, I don't know if you guys can see it. It's marked Greg Hamon. So that's her setup there. We've got the halo. It looks like the phone on it there too.
Yeah.
Okay, Julia, you want to take us a little closer? Show us where your mic is and stuff.
All right, so I have a mic here.
Oh, right there. Oh, wow, it's attached. Okay, all right.
So it plugs right into the phone. It's a Shure V88, I think.
Okay, awesome.
And then, yeah, to have the TV here.
And that's where you have your accompaniment track, which I think is amazing. I love it. Okay, fabulous. David, Francisco, what do you guys think?
So I have a question. Do you have a lighter background? Because that background, it's wonderful. Or, you know, maybe the dress color or something, because you looked very dark in the video, and you yourself didn't stand out. So that's one thing.
Okay.
I don't know how you guys felt about it.
Yeah,
it was a little soft. Yeah, it was a little soft. Maybe more lighting would just be the solution, even if it's not another background, just a little bit more light or lighter, brighter background. One of the two.
Or even a light, maybe a lighter dress, like maybe a lighter color on the dress, or something that, because the dress is red in the background's kind of like well, it's coming across on Zoom as like a rust color, like a brown, orange, yellow. And so to me, the dress was kind of blending in with, with that background there. Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm wondering if maybe even a lighter dress would just solve that problem.
Yeah, I mean, because the thing is, you don't want to call attention to the background. You want to call attention to your voice, which is amazing, by the way, so congratulations.
Yeah, really beautiful.
Thank you.
In terms of the sound quality, I mean, again, the top really resonated. The middle of the voice, sometimes you went away from the microphone, so the mic didn't pick up the voice as resonantly as it is. And I mean, sometimes Dave, he's on mute.
Is he muting again? Oh my goodness.
We're trying to keep David quiet.
No.
I don't want to make the noise, like, because I'm in a space where there's a lot of noise going on in the corridor, and I don't really want to distract from anything.
Oh yeah, no problem, no problem.
I was gonna just jump in with my brother's point that you swayed a little bit here and there with the music as you were singing, and it was very subtle, but the sound would shift in the middle of your phrases, and I think it's just because of where the microphone is, it's adjusting on the fly, and it's not really, it's not helping the quality of your sound. So that's just something to be aware of with that particular mic, probably because of where it's placed and how directly in front of you it is.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes total sense. Julia, you could turn your second device off now, honey, and go back to your primary device. I am wondering what you guys think about the possibility of her moving that camera mic back all the way. Oh, Julia, you're going to want to turn the zoom off altogether on the second device, or we'll have a...
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, we good now? Okay,
Yeah.
good.
Yeah,
I
think, Jen,
I'm wondering
you're
about
right.
moving everything back from her, because I feel like also she's got a nice space going on there, right? With it sounds like high ceilings, and there is some acoustic happening in that room, and some acoustical charge with the overtones and things happening. So I'm just wondering if it might be that if we move the setup, if we move the halo light and the camera and the microphone all together just back several feet, if we might not get a more even sound because the mic would pick up just what's right in front of it. Does that make sense? Would that maybe help, guys? What do you think?
I think it could help. Yeah.
Julia, do you want to try just move your whole setup back, like, I don't know, 2 or 3 feet? Yeah, even if you're not framed in with your background. I just want to hear what we get with the voice if we get a little bit more consistency of sound. Yeah.
And I think, Jen, what you said earlier, it's something to be conscious of as well, Julia, don't sing for the camera or Zoom, sing for the big space in your mind, sing for the bigger space. This is a grand moment for Liu that, it's the spotlight's on her, everybody's looking at her. And I think singing out, enjoy that space. And additionally, what I would like to see, it's not a quick change right now, so this won't be for now, but filming this in a landscape orientation rather than the portrait with your phone. Yeah. Because that's also going to give you more space. What's interesting is we're seeing a different view of you, right? We're seeing more full body because it's portrait orientation. However, the landscape is going to actually give that sense of space in a better way. So filming it horizontally rather than vertically, just going forward, I think that will be helpful for you.
Let's see if this sound changes, Julia. Yeah, thank you, Jenna. Let's see if the sound changes a bit if we go here. And let's start back at the beginning and see what we get. And Julia, sing for your space, love. You have this beautiful, rich, gorgeous color through the middle of your voice. We want all that color all the time. So just sing for that big space and just give us that beautiful color because we love it. And it's a problem for everyone. Trust me. Me too. It's very hard when you have a camera in front of you to not think about that little tiny camera. Yeah. Think about your space. Think about being in a theater, thinking about being with an orchestra, and really sing for that possibility rather than the little iPhone. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you.
Brava. Thank you.
going?
Yes.
Did you want?
Brava. No, it's so much better.
Yeah.
The
Okay.
sound is so much better there. I know you have to put shoes on if we move the thing there, but I love your shoes. They're adorable.
Okay, thanks.
Sound then goes around the microphone and we hear all that lusciousness in the middle of the voice and all of that beautiful color and richness. And that's what we're missing from the first time.
You could also zoom in from with the video camera to kind
You can get a lens to zoom it in so that you can put the same distance. So
yeah, so I mean you can have that distance and then block out, cut off whatever you need as well. Don't discount
I like that idea.
Guys, is that the lens you were talking about in the presentation that you can get on Amazon for the iPhone?
you can get a lens for your iPhone so it's closer, so that you don't have this wide image, especially if you're so far away.
Okay, that's awesome. Did you put that in the chat as well?
I will get on that.
Oh, thank you. That would be so helpful. I think that's a great idea. Julia, can you just go on one more phrase or so we can hear the top, so we can hear the A flats and how they balance with the mic and yeah, really beautiful, beautiful.
Thank you.
Yeah, fabulous, Julia. Now we can hear all those wonderful dynamic changes you're trying to make too. Yeah, when you sing into the top or when you're floating the top, now we hear the difference. Before we just heard one. Before we just kind of heard the microphone going like this on you. Now we're getting the full span of what the voice can do. And I think you want that for your recordings, for sure. Brava, sweetheart. Thank you so much. Fantastic. Does anyone want to add anything further before we move on to our last singer?
No, that was amazing.
Fabulous. Thank you, Julia, so much. Okay, we're going to move on to our last singer, Miss Vanessa. Are you there, Vanessa?
Yes, I am.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for being with us. Please announce your
having
piece.
me.
Absolutely. Please announce your piece and we will get started.
Okay, so I'm going to switch over to my main device then.
Yes, main device first. Main device, and then we'll have you get that second device out. Just make sure that if you have the second device on, just turn it all the way down and mute it.
Okay.
Ready? All good? Turn your primary device off of mute. Yeah, or maybe we have to do that. Hold on a second. That one. Unmute. Okay, go ahead. Oh no, maybe it's this one. Maybe it's this one. Unmute. That one.
Okay.
How about that one? Yes.
Yes.
Yes, we got you now. Okay, good. Okay. Fabulous. Sorry, technology. Ah!
Is this right?
You might have to turn that off. You might have to disconnect from Zoom before you go to the first. You need the primary device first, so you might have to disconnect the second one and then come back.
Okay, how do I disconnect the second one?
Just hang up.
Okay.
Thank you for doing that, though.
I think I got it.
And then come back in after you've done singing. Thank you.
I get a thumbs up if I'm good?
You're good.
Yeah, okay.
Fabulous.
Thank you.
No, thank you.
I'll be singing Quando Men Vo or Musetta's Waltz from La Boheme.
Thank you, bravissima. I love it. Fantastic. I love that pink dress too. Wow, what a great
Thank
dress for that
you.
aria. Adorable. Okay, I'm gonna pull up your resume materials over here for us to take a look at while you get your second device reset up for Zoom so we can see your setup. And I'm gonna call Miss Jenna. Are you there?
I'm here. Hi, Vanessa.
To have a look here at Vanessa's materials. Now we have a bio, so that's different than we've seen, so that's good.
Yes. Hi, Vanessa.
Yeah.
Hi.
Always fun to hear Musetta. I got to see Jen sing that at the Met, so it was fun.
Phenomenal. That's actually why
I've
I
been-
picked
Oh,
it.
shameless plug.
So, Vanessa,
It's beautiful.
you are in a slightly more unique situation. You are managed currently. You have an agency. You're represented. So what everybody's looking at is sort of part of the materials that Vanessa has from her agency, which they've assembled, which is great because we're seeing sort of all the information, your biography. I also have here your list of repertoire, not just operatic roles, but orchestral and oratorio. Conductors you've worked with, opera houses, theaters, and then your photo at the end. So that's a really great, press kit or kit that they've assembled for you. Obviously with audition season, especially if you're going after programs or even specific roles, they may be requiring something different than what this would be because they'll possibly ask for a one-page resume, which because all of your information is already assembled, you can simply create a resume that incorporates that information, much like what we've been talking about and looking at today. As Jen said, we love pink. We're big fans of pink. So when you create that single page resume, pink, like a dark pink, a more saturated pink, so it shows up well on a page and it's legible, might be nice to add as your accent color because it would coordinate well with your photo. I would say additionally, you know, you're going to want on a one-page resume, of course, list the contact information for your management to show that you are managed. That's very helpful to have, even if it's the basic information, name of the agency, your manager, and their email address. It can be as simple as that, but just having that listed, that's sort of an additional contact section that you could put in either place. You could either have at the top in tandem with your personal direct contact information, or you could have it in a section at the bottom, which I think is good to do. One thing I wanted to recommend, because it's something we haven't talked about regarding the photographs and just having up-to-date photographs, and of course you do, everybody does here today, which is great, and like this is a beautiful photo. In looking at your repertoire list, you know, you've got a lot of really sort of the youthful ingenue roles in your rep. You know, Sophie from Werther, I mean, Titania, Baby Doe, all these kind of things. And what I would love to see in a situation, let's say, where you could include a couple of photos, is if there's a photo that also has a slightly even more youthful feel, or again, a more ingenue feel. This is something, I mean, Jen and I talk about this a lot in her career. She's going through phases as she's adding repertoire, you know, to her life and to her career, where there are different looks that we use for different graphics that, you know, when she's singing her first role, you know, her first Adriana Lecouvreur, the photos we use for that look very different than something like what she does Tosca. So that's something to think about as well. If you are actually going for particular roles, maybe helping the panel, helping the artistic staff visually already start to see you as that role, even in a modern portrait photograph, is something that might be helpful or interesting to include. So just something different to think about.
I totally agree with you, Jen. I think it would be great if, Vanessa, if you had, I mean, this photo is stunning. You look amazing. Absolutely gorgeous. Beautiful makeup, beautiful hair, fantastic editing, just looks fantastic. But I would really love to see something a little younger, for sure. If we are going for Musetta and Sophie and things like that, I do think that there could be a photo option that is a little simpler, a little fresher, a little brighter, a little more what we're seeing, you know, today. You know, a little bit more like that. So for me, it's a fantastic photo and it looks amazing. But I do agree. I think we could go just a touch younger, for sure, for sure. Okay, Vanessa, I'm gonna have you share your second device there, so that David and Francisco can get a look at your setup. And I'm gonna try to pull up your press kit here on my phone so that I can show everyone sort of what a press kit will look like when you are a managed singer. But I'll get to that in just a little bit. So go ahead and just show us what you've got going on over there. Do we have her second device unmuted? Maybe. Here she is. Asked to unmute.
The slow unmute.
Great. Yep.
There she is. Okay.
So I'm trying to share my contact.
Oh, you don't have to share. You can just turn it around and we can see whatever's.
Oh, okay. Perfect.
Yep. Perfect. Oh, there we go. I see you. Okay. All right. So we're in where is your microphone set up?
Right here.
Oh, so pretty close to you.
Yeah.
All right. And where was the audio? Where was the track?
I'm sorry?
Where did you have the phone playing the track? That was kind of back beside you,
So
right?
that was actually
Back
my
over here.
laptop, which I have here.
Oh, okay. Okay, in a different okay, I see it. Okay. Okay, David and Francisco, I'm going to turn it over to you.
So I think do you have any lights in the space? I mean, are you any external lights that you're using?
I don't have an external one. I just have what I have on my ceiling.
Okay. So I mean, that would probably for me that would probably be the first thing I would recommend, because the lighting there's a lot of shadow. We didn't always get I think we get a lot clearer image of you if you had something kind of to illuminate the space and to fill in some of the darker void. For me from the get-go, that's one of the first things I asked myself. So that would be something I would recommend that I think would help a lot in terms of just the overall visual quality of your presentation.
Perfect. Thank you.
Ben, you have any?
Yeah. No. Yeah. Go ahead, Francisco. I'm sorry. I'm just having a peek of seeing what we have. Okay. Go ahead.
Sound was.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh. Did he go away?
Oh, no. Fran,
where'd you go?
He'll probably.
Oh, I think maybe his internet dropped off or something. Anyway, I think I have to agree. I think the sound quality was good. I feel like the space we are in is too small.
Yeah.
For her to sing, for you to sing in. I feel like we should move you out into the bigger space.
Sure.
Because it's like your mic is sort of closer to a bigger space. Am I seeing it right?
Yeah. So Vanessa, you're kind of back in like a little cubby area almost. And what's happening is the mic is in that larger space and you're sort of back in here. So I think it's closing off some of your sound and even some of the resonance. So what I would say, as Jen said, that living room, I think it's your living room, probably looks like it's pretty spacious. Like the ceilings are actually nice and high. It's a deep room. Use that room. And since you have the camera set up and everything else, like what David and Fran were talking about earlier, you know, because you can zoom in and everything else, you can have the camera wherever you need to have the camera, but give the microphone some space from you and treat that room like a hall. Treat it more like a rehearsal hall where you can sing into the space, and then maybe just move the laptop for now. Just move that onto the floor next to you or onto a chair next to you or something, whatever you need to do. But I think you need more space, because also you are creating a moment. You are creating a bit of a moment for us with, you know, and Rosetta needs a moment. She requires it.
Yeah, she does.
For everybody being brave and amazing and beautiful and singing today, you know, if you're going to create these mini moments that you're inviting us into, we also need to experience that sonically. It can't just be visually seeing you acting and all of that, but we want to feel the space with your voice.
Yeah. I wonder if we could, you can leave your laptop where it is. You can just walk away for a couple seconds. But I think let's push that mic into the bigger space. You can axe your second device now and go back to your primary device, but let's move that mic back into the bigger space. Let's move the camera back into the bigger space, and let's have you sort of stand on the edge of that alcove so that you're right on like the wall, where the wall is connecting to the bigger space. So you're singing into the bigger space, but we don't have anything on the sides of you. And you're still relatively close to that laptop computer where you could just take a couple steps, turn it on, and then a couple steps back. And let's start at the beginning again, and let's see if we can get even a little bit more. I think if we do this, we're going to get an even better idea of the sound quality of your voice. And I think we're going to get some more richness and some more overtones from the space that you're actually singing into. You know what I mean? So let's try that. Let's try that. You can axe that second device. Just leave the meeting altogether. Go back to your primary device. I'll unmute you. And let's move everything back just a little bit. And let's see what we get. I think we're gonna get something really cool, really great. I hope. Anyways.
Yeah. Everything's connected, so I'm gonna move it kind of in waves.
It's no problem. It's no problem. Take your time.
Thank you.
It's no problem. Just, slide it back as far as you can, and we'll see what we get. Don't knock your Wi-Fi out in the process, but just slide it back a little bit. Oh, I think that's going to be great. And then if you just stand kind of right at the break of your wall there where your closet is, I think that's going to help a bunch. Yeah, and then when you go to actually make your videos or whatever, get the wall behind you so we have, just the blank wall, but sing into that bigger space. Yeah, don't box yourself in like that. That's, yeah.
Okay.
Rockin'? Okay, let's start at the beginning, see what we get.
Okay.
Cool. Okay, I just have to interrupt for a second. I mean, I think you can, I don't know if you can see the gallery, but everyone in the gallery is going like this because that was so much better. Now you're gonna have to, if you're gonna keep that set up, you're gonna have another speaker for the sound from your laptop, because now we can't hear the laptop, but that's okay. I could care less about that. I'd rather hear your beautiful voice than that laptop anyways. So if you're gonna record with the track at home, you're gonna need to do the earbud thing and then have them mastered together like David and Francisco were talking about, or you're gonna need the external speaker to put it out closer to where you are now so we can hear it. However,
for me to hear too.
no, it just, it opened up the voice though so much more. We got so much more overtone series. We got so much more color. And then I said, this voice will carry in a theater. For certain, this voice carries in the theater. And before I was like, what's happening? You know what I mean? And I knew it wasn't you. I knew it wasn't you. David, Francisco, you guys want to say anything about that?
I mean, I just think, oh, go ahead, Fran, go ahead.
Sorry, my connection's been really off.
It's all, it's totally fine, don't worry.
So yeah, it definitely does carry much better, and you're definitely, you're not losing the, you're definitely, it's booming more. But I think I would even put the mic a little bit, put the microphone a little bit back, because when you do go to your highs, it's going to overmodulate because it's, your voice is closer to the mic. So just experiment with the placement of the mic as well, just like, so that the voice is completely in full.
Yeah, and
totally.
I was gonna jump in and say that I think one of the things that we've seen in common with all four singers is that when you start singing to a larger space and reminding yourself that your voice is for a bigger space and not for a tiny camera or a computer, it makes a world of difference. I mean, it already, all four of you, it just made a huge difference when you started singing to the larger space around you, which is another reason why I would suggest maybe if you can have that camera, not the mic. The mic you have to figure out where you place it, but maybe the camera far away as possible and zoom it in. It looks, I mean, you feel automatically, you don't feel the camera on top of you, and you start thinking about the broader space.
Because believe it or not, the camera is very intimidating. When you think you have the, when you think you have a camera in front of you, you're thinking about the camera, you're thinking about this, you're thinking about that. But if you have it further away, the camera becomes like an audience member. It's there. It's not.
There's a lot of film directors that like to take the camera, put it as far away from the actors as possible, and use longer lenses to get what they need, so that the actors don't feel like the camera's right in their face, and so that they can perform more freely. So that's, I just feel that I just wanted to say that because I noticed that with all the performers, the moment we said think about the space, don't think about the Zoom meeting, it made a difference. It made a huge.
Good. Gosh, I mean, Vanessa, that was a massive difference. It's huge. So definitely you're going to need some lights up in there because it's a little dark now and we don't see your beautiful face as much as back in the corner where the lights actually are. But I have to say, more importantly, is that the sound quality is that big and blooming sound and not stuck in the little box that we were back there. Because it's a really beautiful sound. So we want to let that out.
Definitely.
Yeah?
Yes.
Yeah.
Do you have a question, Vanessa?
Oh, I was just gonna say I only picked this space because of the blank wall. Everywhere else in my apartment has pictures or paintings or artwork on it. So
oh yeah, no.
That's kind of why I ended up back in
David
here.
and Francisco, what would you guys recommend? What do you guys do for your OperaWire videos? That Francisco is saying he's got a lot of paintings everywhere. What's the solution? Just take them down?
I strip everything down as much as humanly possible. I mean, it is a chore, it is annoying, but it makes a huge difference.
Or you know, or find something, like even if it was a painting that's not, like if it's not as distracting, something that's not going to call attention, because there are things on walls that are very distracting, like the paintings in like my kitchen right here. But you know, it has to, it should be a space, like, and also I think wardrobe always helps as well, because you know, if you do have a lot on your, if you have a subtle thing on your wall, your wardrobe is also gonna create that difference as well, because sometimes bare walls are not the most beautiful thing to look at.
Right. So I mean, I would say that. So right now you have this. You're in actually a pretty good space, I would say, in terms of your setup. Obviously, we see the closet and we see some of the books, but it's pretty much a white space. Maybe the thing that's hanging on to your right, maybe that might be a little bit of a distraction. But otherwise, I think that the setup looks pretty good for you, and the fact, you know, the wardrobe that you pick makes you stand out. So I think that in terms of this space, I don't think you really need to worry too much. You know, maybe some of the books in the bookstand you might want to like take out just in case. But otherwise, I mean, this space looks pretty solid for you. And again, to double on my brother's point, you pick the perfect wardrobe to make sure the attention is on you, not on the space.
Absolutely. Totally agreed. Thank you so much, Vanessa. That was absolutely stunning. Bravissima. Thank you. Please sing into that big space because it's awesome. Brava. We're going to take just a few questions before we let everybody go, but I want to just go back to, we have a couple of questions in the chat, and Jenna, I'm going to call on you to help me with this as well. We have a couple of questions in the chat about the resume and how specific we need to be about Bach. And I'm going to tell you, in America, I am never specific about Bach. In America, I write soprano, period. Not that I'm a spinto, not that I'm a dramatic, not that I'm a coloratura, none of that stuff, because everyone has their own opinion. And if you write on your resume that you are a lyric coloratura and somebody goes, you're not a lyric coloratura, you're a dramatic coloratura, and they have some sort of negative thought about you in their mind, you are not getting cast. Believe me. I don't know why it's like that, but it's like that. So if you're a dramatic tenor, I saw Johnny Kaufman up here in the chat a minute ago. He's a dramatic tenor. That's an awesome voice, big, beautiful, fabulous tenor voice. But he writes tenor, not dramatic tenor, not lyrico, spinto, mix, extension, brr, 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 tenor, period, okay? Coloraturas, coloratura soprano, basta così, yes? Sopranos, soprano, mezzo, mezzo, tenor, baritone, bass, basta così. Now, when you get to Europe, there is a very different Fach system. And if you are going to specifically audition for a Fest contract in Germany, the manager that you are working with will take care of that Fach specification for you. You don't have to do that. No, you should not put your range on your resume. I saw that pop up in the chat too. No, you are a soprano, basta, enough. I don't need all the other adjectives that go along with it, okay? The rep you take to your audition shows the panel what type of soprano you are. If you are a dramatic mezzo-soprano, clearly you will take dramatic mezzo-soprano repertoire. Therefore, they will know you are a dramatic mezzo-soprano. You don't have to tell us on your resume. Jenna, I would love to have either your Jen, you're awesome, or Jen, no, I disagree. But please weigh in on this because I know it comes up all the time. So please weigh in on that.
I agree. No, I agree completely. And as we were talking about earlier with resume and CV, we also have the same situation with Fox in the US and in Europe and elsewhere. And it's, don't pigeonhole yourself so tightly that people can't see and hear potential for you to move into other things. Please know, as wonderful as they are, all of the teachers and coaches and everybody in your lives, sometimes people are misdiagnosed.
Mm-hmm.
This does happen. My husband was one of them. He sang as a baritone for many years before switching to tenor. And immediately when he switched, it was the right thing and clearly what he should have been doing because he had been misdiagnosed. And that's not to say you should run out immediately and go find 12 different teachers and have everybody tell you different things and totally lose your mind. That's not what it is. But it's to say that if you can keep that FOC category a bit more general, without adding too many qualifiers onto it, it will allow people to also hear and imagine you as other things. And those other things might be healthy and right for you, they may not, but don't put yourself into the tiniest box. Other people are already going to do that for you. They are going to hear you. Critics are going to hear you and say, oh, that's a lyrico spinto, or oh, clearly a dramatic coloratura, or this, that, or the other thing. The houses may do that as well, but if you're already doing that, you're limiting your prospects. And again, some of the roles, I think we're seeing roles that are being cast very differently than they were even 50 years ago, even 20 years ago, even 5 years ago. Violetta is a very interesting topic of conversation with that.
She's always an interesting topic of conversation. She's always an interesting.
Yes,
let's talk about Sandra Rovanovsky's going to sing her in Philadelphia next season. Sandra's voice is ginormous. It's the loudest thing on the Met stage. It's literally the biggest voice on the Met stage, period. However, her coloratura is spectacular. So I want to hear Violetta. Yes, I do. Absolutely. And if we really, no, absolutely. Yeah. I want to hear her sing everything. But really, let's think about that, right? If we said Sandra Rovanovsky is a dramatic coloratura basta così, then we would never hear her Tosca. We would never hear her Aida. We would never hear her Rusalka, her Pique Dame. No, we would never hear any of that other repertoire because that's a different Fach. And it's the same thing with me. Who would cast me as Tosca if I said on my resume, I'm a dramatic coloratura soprano? Nobody. So if you limit yourself to that, it takes away the possibilities of people being creative who want to be creative. And believe me, you're in an aesthetic business. People are going to be creative.
Take the specifics for your repertoire list. Your repertoire list is where you show the specifics. And if you are someone who is sort of between these different Fox, as we know them, or between these different roles and ideas, list that there. That's the place they should see that. But if you're classifying yourself as an artist in such a small window to begin with, it's going to make it very difficult for people to see you otherwise. And that's also part of your consideration with your repertoire package for auditions. Again, it's great if you can sing kind of like anything under the sun, but the problem is they're going to look at that aria list and think, what are we going to cast this person as? Like, how do we even focus in on this? So you have to do a good job as an artist, as a young artist, to help your panel. Make it easy for them to know who you are. And the quickest way to do that, the quickest way to make it easy for them to know who you are, is to just list the general FOC, period, and leave it at that. And if they want to know more, they can explore your repertoire and they can ask you. They can say, we saw that you've got this. What are you working on in the future? Those sort of things. That's a conversation to have. It's not something to limit yourself with before you even sing for people on a resume.
Absolutely. David and Francisco, I'm going to direct a question now over to you. We've got some questions regarding Zoom auditions, and we need to answer them because we know that there are going to be some Zoom auditions. So we've got a couple of things here for auditions on Zoom. How close should one be to the camera? Do the panels want to see a full body shot? Then there's here, if your USB microphone has been connected to your laptop to connect with Zoom and you have put your microphone on the other side of the room to give you space, will it be a problem if you're standing really far back from the laptop? So we're really talking about, I think, orientation and camera orientation in regards to how close, how far away, and also that mic. So can you guys sort of talk a little bit about that and about the Zoom and specifically Zoom auditioning?
So I added a link in terms of helping you with audio settings on Zoom. So
awesome.
That does a really good job of helping people figure out how to best organize their microphone for that. In terms of camera and the Zoom audition, I think with sorry, the second participant is Julia. The second participant.
That was Jamie.
Jamie.
Jamie. I think with Jamie, what we saw was she gave us three quarters from her waist up, and that made a difference in terms of, you know, we were able to see her. She wasn't too distant from us. So I think, I mean, obviously, that's also going to depend on, I mean, when you go into these auditions, I think you got to make a choice and then own it. So I think waist up is probably a safe place to be in terms of where you place your body, how far away you are from the camera.
Amazing. Francisco, you want to add anything, or Jenna?
I think Dave said, I mean, I agree completely with David. I think that that's important. And again, with microphone placement, or, you know, I think that's something that you have to really just play around with before your audition, and kind of like listen back and hear how it's sounding. And I think you're going to find the best placement as you experiment with that.
Yeah, I mean, have someone you can test with to make sure that it's coming through the way you want it.
Yeah, I think if you have someone that you can work with, I think that would actually make it a lot better, because I think that way you can concentrate more on testing your mic and your singing, and not have to be, because once you have your camera position, you can have someone who's handling the camera, and
in terms of like trying it out on Zoom with someone.
Right.
Oh yeah,
do a test call, no question. Do a test. You know, test all of and don't do it 3 days before wearing something different and not using any of the lighting and just to check the sound. Test everything. Make it match whatever you're going to be doing for that. And I think additionally, you know, remember, turn off the notifications, like do not disturb every piece of technology in the house. Make sure the pets are not audible and gone. Make sure anybody you live with, roommates, siblings, partners, whoever knows that during X time they need to stay the hell away because you've got a live audition going. Just make it a professional and protected space. This has to be your protected space so you can offer the best artistry possible. And again, make a moment, whether you're recording an audition or whether it's live, make it that moment. And if you need to completely change your setup because on Zoom things are not looking and sounding great, do that. Get the lighting. It'll be all of that stuff. It's going to be worthwhile.
Absolutely. Thank you guys so much. I am thrilled with this class and this information, and I hope you guys are as well. I learned, so I even have like my little note cards down here of things that I'm writing, because this really, I mean, so much information I didn't even know was possible. Lenses for the iPhone, who knew? I didn't know. Apparently they knew, and that's why they're here. So thank you, David Salazar and Francisca Salazar from OperaWire and La Cuarta Productions. You guys were incredible. David, can you throw your email address back up into the chat for us? If any of you have questions, if you would like to have David and Francisco edit your videos for you, if you would like to have them work with the audio, with the track and your separate audio, please email them. They're happy to help you. You know, we all got to make this work, and auditions are tricky, but they're not impossible. So they've given just amazing information today. So if you need their help, please email them. Check out their Facebook page. Check out their Instagram accounts. Follow OperaWire, because I'm telling you what, that's good info right there. I love OperaWire. Like literally, I have my dad following OperaWire because it's so good. We love it. Jenna Wolf from Lenny Studio. Jenna, can you please throw your email up in the chat as well? Amazing to have you again with us. The first social media lecture was like, but this also amazing, Jenna. Thank you so much. Thank you for going through the resumes and the photos and giving us your expertise for branding and getting everything together for the audition season. Beautiful, wonderful sopranos. Thank you so much for your talent and for being open today. Nadège, Jamie, Julia, and Vanessa, thank you so much. You really were spectacular. Some incredible singing this afternoon. really thank you for being open, willing to show us your space, willing to invite us into your home. We are so appreciative. Thank you to Fort Worth Opera for making this series a free series for every single singer on this meeting right now. For everyone on Facebook, hey Facebook, I see you. Yeah, we love you. Thanks for being with us. Everything for all of the singers to apply. For everyone to apply for the next 5 classes is completely free. It's amazing. Thank you, Fort Worth Opera. You guys, we can only exist on donation. So because you were awesome and you donated in the first series, we are able to bring you the second series. Please, if you can make a donation to Fort Worth Opera, we appreciate it so much. Even if it's $10, we want your $10. We're going to use it and put it to great use, bringing you amazing content, bringing you free things for singers, which is just amazing. We are so happy. So next Saturday, we have, and for those of you who saw her class, also, Lauren Meeker, again with us from Opera San Antonio.
Yes.
She's amazing. Her master class at the end of the last session was literally the highlight of life. Like, it was so inspiring. Ryan and I were like, oh my God, like texting each other back and forth. She will be basically adapting what she spoke about in her master class, her 3 points of focus for the camera. So we are going to talk about how to sing and make your videos with those 3 points of focus. So we have the specificity in the acting and in the characterization, and we have that even on camera, and we are able to really see and create a beautiful audition that looks good, but that is also organic and specific in the acting, because that is very important. So she's going to be with us. And then Saturday, every Saturday in September, we will have our virtual audition panels, which I cannot tell you guys, this is my brainchild and I'm so excited about it. Like, the people we have lined up for these panels, I have artist managers, I have YAP directors, I have the first singer, you guys are going to die. You're going to die. So I'm so excited. I can't wait to see all of you on the next classes. No, you do not have to audition for every single class. One audition. If you turned in an application already, we're going to go over it this weekend. We're going to decide who's going to get to sing. We only have 45 or 50 spots. And I'm telling you, there were a lot of applications. So if we can't hear you this time, I'm sorry, but please still join us on the classes, because you will learn a lot from being the fly on the wall in somebody else's audition. Let me tell you, I learned a lot about auditioning from watching auditions and from judging competitions. So you will learn. Even if you are just watching those panels, you will learn. So thank you all for being here with us. Fort Worth Opera, thank you. Jenna, David, Francisco, thank you. Ryan, I go back to you. Everybody get a glass of wine. Have a great day. Ryan, over to you.
Jenna, David, Francisco, thank you so much for being with us today and sharing your passion and all this like beautiful wealth of knowledge. So thank you. It was really, really awesome. Jennifer, much love to you, my friend. You're such an inspiration. Love you.
Love you.
You were gorgeous. Everybody out there, thank you so much for joining us. We're grateful for your support, and y'all have an awesome weekend.
Have a great weekend, everybody. See you later.
Bye.
Bye.